Everything else, almost everything else, Boeing having a rough day of it. I find like today's one of those kind of days where you haven't looked at, you can't look at every single stock. You know, maybe it's not on your quote board, maybe it's not on your watch list. You pull it up for the first time and you're just shaking your head. 8.5% down when this was actually looking just a couple of weeks ago. Boeing was in the conversation for breaking out, and it looked like maybe they'd got over a hump. And yeah, unfortunately, what are you going to do? Headed right back down into prior lows. And market goes up like an elevator, and up like an escalator, goes down like an elevator. It's just a lot faster when there is blood in the streets and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, frustrating day for a lot of things if you're looking for longs. But it's been one of those. The shorts have been good. It's never fun when the market goes down, but when you're trading, you just had to work the shorts for sure. Boeing, another prime example of that. Man, that is ugly, ugly, ugly for them. Hasn't broken the low of the days just yet. Matter of time, I suppose, for Boeing, especially with that story.
Yeah, good look there. It's pretty fun with the market going down for me today, but that's because we were short, and you don't ever want to confuse, you know, what we're doing here on the market versus what you're thinking about in your own accounts. But, you know, you could see right here that Robinhood, we left you guys last time I saw you when we were talking about trading, of course, was 11 o'clock, and you guys know I just put on that Robinhood. And if you were with me, then you were with me. If you're not, you're not, and that's fine. There's the long rate there. There's $1, so that's long, 37.60. There's some outs, $39, so $1.40, $1.50 still in this one. So yeah, man, there's a long that worked, right? And we picked that one pretty clearly, man. We were waiting for Robinhood. It came right back into those levels. So yeah, boom goes, as they say, some kind of dynamite or something. But that was a good trade. So I'm happy with that. We'll wait to see where it can go even a little bit higher. We still are in. You know, my number one trade today is going to be, although Robinhood, we wound up making about half of what we made on the TQs. So we still remain short on that one. We did have an out there at VWAP, and then we just had another out near the bottom right now at 51.50. But we have some outs down here as well at 51 flat. So we'll wait to see if we can get those again. But yeah, man, so far so good here. It's been a great day for the longs and the shorts. I mean, our only negative stock is this. You know, short Intel right here, what are we supposed to do? We shorted it, we got stopped out, and then it is beyond day's low right now. So
it just broke today's low.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it just broke it there, yeah, about 20 minutes ago or so. I don't know if it was, I mean, I didn't hear too much trading on the midday show there. I heard a lot of philosophy-based stuff there. Philosophical, that's it. Stuff, so that was kind of important. I don't really believe in too much of that, but at the end of the day, you know, it is what it is. And, you know, whatever gets everybody through it, gets them through it, whether or not it's more sleep, whether or not it's this and that. I mean, obviously, sleep is very, very key. For me personally, I've never been able to equate sleep with trading because, you know, when we have big days, what we wind up doing is we don't look back and say, man, I got a good sleep that day. I mean, that's like, it's when we have bad days, we look back and we say, oh man, I had a bad day because I didn't sleep well, right? And so I think it's a chicken and the egg situation, Neil, on that one.
I'm not I'm not a person that, I was never like a big like partier or any of that kind of stuff. But I will say this, I didn't early on in when I was younger, early on in my trading career, I did note it was like in my first 3 years, I think I had like only a couple of shutdowns. It was 3. It's like, well, 4. One of them was that system thing we were talking about, which was on me, and I've told the story before. The other 3, each time I had been slightly hungover in the morning. And I think it just came down to, you know, maybe decision making wasn't that good. So I noted that, you know, during the week, maybe you just play it a little bit smarter. That's the kind of thing you want to pay attention to. I think you remember more like, okay, well, what went wrong on the bad days as opposed to what I did when I had good ones. So I've only ever looked at it from that standpoint, you know? I just saw in the chat, someone's like, why not just said Baba don't care? Someone just said, I'm surprised at Alibaba. Baba is holding, I don't mean to jinx it because it's exactly flat right now, so don't at me if this thing turns red like everything else, but a clean bounce on Baba off the 50 period. Now, I'll cop to, like I recently just sold the majority of my long-term Baba. Well, it was more of a swing anyways, let's call it what it is. In Alibaba when it broke the slight upward trend. But it's bounced nicely. 50 period today for Alibaba. Strong. Call it a bull flag, whatever you want. It's battling to go green. I'm always skeptical of breakouts on Chinese ADRs in the afternoon from a volume perspective, so I don't really like the breakout. But you gotta look out for what is relatively strong on a bloodbath kind of day. And we had pointed out gold had a nice recovery. We had pointed out that was it Coke and Procter had done pretty well. So you want to look to see where the kernels of strength are. Maybe to some people it's not surprising that Alibaba's held up as well as it has today. I'll say to me that's a little surprising.
Yeah.
I'm glad to see it because I still have some on board, but yeah, you want to be able to note that. Like, what isn't an abject disaster today, and where do you find some strength? Because, like I said, with Boeing, like I hadn't looked at Boeing, you pull it up, it's like, oh, well, that's down 9% as well? It's one of those types of days. So I'm only in Coreweave. I know we're going to go over the rundown in just a quick little second, but it's one of those setups where I like the setup, but I don't have the do something button. It's like do something. It was an all afternoon trend break with a really distinct flat top. So I took it. It immediately flushed like 50 pennies in the money. I'm like, oh, okay. And then it's just going sideways. Like, it's weird. Usually when you get a break like that of a stock which is just run like $5, $6, you think you at least make some kind of a move. But we'll see what happens. It's the only thing I happen to be in right now. Although, hopefully at some point we get a chance to run at Intel again. Because I just want to short Intel at least one more time.
Yeah, the Intel short was huge for us yesterday and should have been huge for us today, but unfortunately, yeah, we got out of that one. Yeah, we had noticed that there was some Walmart action today. There was some Costco action today. I mean, a lot of these stocks really, really strong off of the bottom, so congratulations anybody that was able to catch that. All right, Joe, let's go.
All right, guys, welcome to the afternoon rundown. This segment chose by you guys which stocks that we get to talk about. Make sure you get in that chat and vote. Come during the midday show with Obi and I to see what we are going to go over on the afternoon rundown. All right, guys, first on the docket, we have Amazon down just a little bit under 8% here, guys. Says it's testing new features. Buy for me in beta, Amazon shopping app and website. Go check it out. Let's see what's going on with Amazon today, guys.
What a guan, Amazon.
Yeah, spoiler alert, down 8%, which is a bit of a theme here.
Wait,
It's not like everything is down 7, 8, 9%. It's just that a lot of things that you're looking at are pretty much down that much. So the good news is it's not at the low of the day. That's the good news. That's about it. Everything else on this doesn't look fantastic. Everyone's got decisions to make. All these big companies have large decisions to make. Clearly, but just from a charting perspective, you just lost a pretty decent support level for Amazon. And because of the distance between here, like it's done so well that it's, whoops, oh, there's that crazy wick that we have to 2900. So you have that August low, you're a big distance away from the August low here. So if the market wants another leg down, Amazon, which I think would be fantastic if it got down in underneath 160, that's a buy for sure, at least a first salvo at it. It just feels like you're trend down till you find a support, and 170 is the only thing standing in the way at this particular time. I did have a reversion long and then reverse short, which turned into a loss. That's my losing stock of the day, reverting short at the wrong time on Amazon. But as I look at it this afternoon, it's trending down underneath VWAP. So there you go, like lower highs, trending down into VWAP. Not really a distinct trend line or anything like that, but I'd look at that volume-weighted average price, and with the market being weak, I'd favor the short side on Amazon. Just a year that you have to be patient for that long-term, the dip buys. Like, know what you want to get and have an idea where you want to get it and how many times you want to buy once a quarter, you want to buy once in the back half of the year and wait till next year. Like, it's those kind of things that I think you're thinking about in that long term. I tend to really like some of those big levels because I can just throw the order out there and know that I'm buying it. It gets filled, wait till the next quarter, something like that. But as I said this morning, one of the names on the list, number 4 on the list, is probably the Mag 7 name. I think I get it bought before Amazon. Just a guess.
All right.
I just think Meta gets there before Amazon. I don't know.
All right, yeah, I mean, I like Amazon and Meta. I like both of them. All right, but we can't decide, so we'll buy nothing for right now, of course, as we've talked about this over and over again. Yeah, for me, it is going to be a wait and see on all of these. I mean, this is, again, you want to look to say, we have the tariffs. They're now behind us. I feel like the most logical way forward here is negotiation. I think that's what Trump would want, and that's what he does want. So as this starts to go through, hopefully Amazon, we did have that news yesterday with TikTok, and I thought that was positive headwind. So maybe there could be something there with TikTok where it does get a bump up. We didn't have too much of a bump yesterday. I mean, there was the news right there. So it did go up and then it faded back out near the end of the day. So if they ever get TikTok, I think that's great news for them and for their shareholders. Again, more data to parse through and more hosting fees. So I like that, more on the cloud. But at the end of the day, this was $200 yesterday at 4 o'clock. You know, now you're down to 180. So that's a 10% haircut all the way to the downside. We actually got down about 10% right there. It did not go short sell restricted. So that's interesting. But yeah, at the end of the day, I don't really want to buy anything right now. And we'll just continue to go short. We're long Robinhood, and that's in trouble. Well, not in trouble. We have 5% left, if not less than that. But the TQs are marching down into the bottom of the day again. So, you know, if this is going to be happening, I don't think it's time to dip buy. Not one day makes a trend change or anything like that. We're still pretty negative on it. I would let Amazon continue to fall down. Wait for it to give you something. And right now, it's not giving me anything. So we'll wait. Even if we miss 2 or 3% tomorrow, fine by me on Amazon. Down 8 today, not great. Nike was an absolute banger today off the sticky note. So Joe, let's go talk about that. Then we'll discuss Amazon.
So good stuff there. Good look there on Nike. You know, Katina Man had that on the sticky note here, guys. But Nike down 13%, a little bit over that, guys. But retail stocks slammed as Trump's tariffs plan sends shockwaves through the sector. The retail sector is under heavy selling pressure on Thursday as Wall Street digests President Donald Trump's tougher than anticipated tariff plan. Nike down 13%, not looking too good for NKE here, guys.
Yeah, we didn't go ahead. I mean, we didn't look at Lulu today. I mean,
No, it's like,
you know, we both like Nike. It was down a lot. It broke through levels. It was the best trade of the day. Yada yada yada. I mean, I didn't get that much sleep last night, that's for sure. And right there, we come in today and we are sharp as a damn knife. Boom, there's $58, man. We marked that one down, and that was one hell of a look. 58 short down to 56, man. That's $2 quick as you like right there on Nike. It was on our post. There it is. It's Nike. It's 58. It even says the word short. So let's all hold hands and trade that together. Nike 58 short, the banger right there. So we're happy with it. We did get stopped out of our last 5%, not even 5% right there once it broke through 58 again. So we do have that part as an out. But yeah, for right now, all good. Again, like the stock, like the name, but unfortunately, I don't like it right now as tariffs are going to continue to be quite a huge problem for NKE and the like. I mean, I don't know, man. Jordans are stale, man. Jordan is, I think, 70 years old or something like that. At the end of the day, this is like LeBron James is 41 or 2. You know, like for them to be still trying to, you know, hawk some of these Jordans and stuff like that. It's got it. Yeah. I mean, all they're doing is like putting new colors in there and everything like that.
Sad.
Like I got custom Air Force Ones and things, and those are kind of cool to do that online. But at the end of the day, Nike really slapped everybody in the face when they decided to go their own way, right? And what I mean by that was when they decided to go direct to consumer and not give Foot Locker shelf space, not give them, you know, the unique drops or anything like that. They opened up their own website, that app, the sneakers apps, and it's backfiring right now. So yeah, it kind of does suck to be an investor in Nike. Thankfully, I'm not, but I'll still buy their products, but definitely on the downswing of their iconic brand right now. Nike down 13%.
That's part of the problem. Is like we're probably still buying Nike, but it's the next generation buying Nike, and that's the problem for them. I don't have anything different to say. The only difference was my note had 59 on it. It got up there, it wicked, it made fresh lows. What is interesting in the space? We were talking about we didn't look at Lululemon today. There's a distinct difference between the charts, at least from the open, between Nike and Lululemon. They all stink, and this is still down 10%. But this caught a bid and is holding. But you want to look at what's happening here on Lululemon is maybe it just didn't flush through the bottom. It was the reason I like Nike. One of the reasons I had Nike for short was underneath that it's bottom breaking and continuing. Whereas Lulu, if you were trying to short it, you're basically trying to short it at the 52-week low, which it's retesting. when it's in front of that. So what does it do? It bounces off that. Just sometimes when in doubt, zoom out. It's about sometimes the things that you avoid taking the shot at. You could have still won shorting it off the open, but it's actually been a good long. Good for Lululemon. Maybe this is a temporary bottom for them. But in the lesson of the day, we're going over some of the retail destruction just for how absurd some of the opportunities. If you just looked at retail this morning for shorts, they were ridiculous.
Right.
Lulu stands out as something that actually caught a bid and is still going. I know Walmart's good, but most people would think of Walmart as a good company that's doing well. They would think the other of Lulu, of Kohl's or Restoration Hardware. Supposed to call it RH now. There was another one that I was mentioning. Under Armour was another one that flat bottom broke. So yeah, it's just notable to me that Lulu has a temporary bottom on it. It doesn't mean, hey, let's go swing long in Lululemon. But if it can hold this for a couple of days, there might be a little something there. No, seriously. So I know Newsmax is making some moves, everybody. It's just try to remember what happened last time, and there's nothing wrong with there's nothing wrong with a little momentum for you. I'm trying to show yesterday's chart.
Oh yeah, we got to get long, baby.
How far it's going, but yeah, this one is really on increasing volume as well. On increasing volume, it's heading higher and looking rather good, I suppose, as a trade. I'm not going to touch it. I'm not going to fade it either. Oh, I just want to update Coreweave because it finally started moving here because I'm sitting where it broke out from, secondary break at 51, and I have this trend line break, which it's threatening right now. So this is from VWAP, trend line break. It's threatening to break out from here. So my stop is in at 52.5. So if it breaks, what is that, 60? If it breaks this consolidation, it has closed above the trend line. So either it breaks this and heads lower, or we trail it out right there. Let's talk about everyone's favorite EV company. Maybe, maybe not.
Polestar?
Yeah, I mean, it's a hot one here. It's a hot one here, Neil. I know it's a fan favorite. Tesla down about 5% here on the session here, guys. But the leverage products are hitting the death cross. Is it a short squeeze possible? So let's see what we got going on. Tesla's stock wild ride in 2024 has been painful for its leveraged ETFs. And now the chart are flashing a classic technical red flag, the dreaded death cross. Let's see what the boys think about these leveraged products and Tesla.
Coming on board in the green room, but we just noticed Andrew. I know it's in our calendar for 2:15, but it's like 2:30 because we got to go through this rundown, my guys. So thank you for your patience right there. I do want to make sure that everyone does scan that QR code before we get too carried away here and unlock the nuclear revolution. Of course, that is Foremost Energy, partnered with Denison Mines with properties strategically located in the Athabasca Basin, known as the Saudi Arabia of uranium. This undervalued company is poised to capitalize on the exploding nuclear, maybe we should choose a different word, market, and offers unparalleled growth potential. The future, everybody, is nuclear, and Foremost, of course, is your entry. Check out FMST on the NASDAQ and FAT on your CSE, it's Canadian Securities Exchange, or go to foremostmetals.com, foremostcleanenergy.com. Thank you, Foremost, for everything. There's Newsmax, by the way. It is maxing itself to the downside right now. It was just up there at 75. Then we just talked about it. So be careful, as Neil had mentioned. Everything is buyer beware in this market, right? I mean, it doesn't matter if you're on Amazon. Like those of us, we talked about this with Joe, those of us that went sort of on with, we're going to talk about Tesla anyways here in a second. Those of you that took a gamble or whatever with Tesla probably lost overnight, holding on to that trade. If you've traded options to the long side anyways. So, there's always going to be gambles in the market. And today with Tesla's actually been not that bad. I mean, bad from the top, but in the last few weeks, looks like we made that bottom in and around 220, right? And I mean, despite it being down 5% today, we did have a nice move up yesterday. We've wick topped around 280 to 290 a couple times. So you got to appreciate the fact that Tesla wants to go. Now, whether or not it does go is basically a completely different story altogether, right? Holding these levels, I think the best thing to do if you're going to dip buy anything on on Tesla would just be to wait to 250. Rather be wrong, down and around here than try to mess with it in the middle. You're really stuck in the middle between 290 and 250 now at 270. So I think you wait for it. we always indicate the kind of moves it has off the open. It did have one again today. So I think that if there is going to be a day like today where we're like thinking one way, you know, maybe that is the right thing to do, is just to kind of wait, let it fade after it's popped. So yeah, Amazon, I keep saying Amazon, we already talked about that. Tesla, good opportunity today. I wasn't on it, my radar wasn't there, and maybe tomorrow. But for right now, Tesla, good fade back in. Hey, if we touch 250-ish area tomorrow, I think that's where you can sort of start to load up. Like, I'm looking for like load up levels, right? And I don't really see one right now on Tesla until we get down there.
Yeah, I'm kind of not really, like, and I said this, I was just having this conversation with Mean Gene in the chat. He's like, Neil, you're too bearish. You're always bearish. I think it's hard not to be when we're trending down, and I get it. It's never fun to talk about bearish setups, but you have to exist within the reality that you're presented with, right? I can't transport myself to last year, unfortunately, which would be nice because it was 20% up on the markets. We all love that. Tesla at least has not even come close to retesting that 220 bottom because of how extreme it is. I think that's the next decision point. I think you let this thing calm down a bit. You have resistance at the 200 period. I didn't trade it today. It mostly had to do with the fact that it was one of the only stocks that was completely inside of yesterday's range, which unless you really retested a resistance or support, I'm like, I don't want to touch that. I feel like I chopped around because I didn't want to be diddling in the middle. Almost, you didn't have to diddle in the middle anywhere. Things were breaking bottoms, or they were giving you crazy V-shapes that you could fade. Tesla was diddling in the middle until it's doing something different. I don't want to touch it with a 10-foot pole for the day trade. I kind of feel like maybe next stop is going to be a retest of that 220, but apparently I've been too bearish when talking about these daily charts. Get ready for more of it because Meta's up next.
All right, guys, Meta down 7%, over 7 3/4. Mark Zuckerberg, like Meta, said to face truth at Senate hearing over China operations and Communist Party censorship efforts. Meta taking a beating as well today, too, guys.
Oh, thank you, Trading by Ryan. Appreciate the super chat here. No message, just sending the love. We appreciate the British pounds there, and just enjoy the show, obviously, and pay it forward. Hit that like, subscribe, share with your friends if you're enjoying the content. That's what it's all about, and contribute to what a great community this is. All right, so Meta's, just very briefly, didn't trade it today. You lost what was a big, and I'm going to say this chart's worse in some ways and from a bearish standpoint than some of the other ones we're looking at, because you had a prior massive resistance that was a breakout, then support that just got dumped today at 550. So you basically had like the big level from the last year just got lost today, and barring some kind of minor miracle, we're closing underneath it at 550. So as long as we close underneath 550, it's a bearish look on the daily for Meta. I'm probably not going to trade this one. We don't really trade a heck of a lot of Meta for a day trade, but that's my thoughts. So when I said Meta on the long term is probably something that I think gets to support for Amazon, it's just because of how bearish today is specifically for Meta. That's all.
Yeah, no, I've looked at Meta before, and we've talked about that, and we were like, hey, man, the next time you get that kind of a gift up there, maybe it's time to take it and say thank you to Mr. Zuckerberg and buy yourself some new Oculus glasses or whatever. But yeah, right now you are getting absolutely pumped down there into the downside. That really does suck for everybody that, of course, is invested in this name like myself. But at the end of the day, this is all to be expected. The market's going to flush down. Meta's been an absolute monster of a winner. And, the fact that we're all the way back into some of these levels of the summertime does give pause, obviously, to a lot of traders. And I think that that's right. I mean, I think you want to be conservative right now and maybe wait for bigger moves. Today it did not start like Tesla and went to the upside. It just kept on pumping lower and lower. So yeah, something to watch out for here, Meta, as we start to touch down at some of these bottoms. 535 again today. I'm not even sure the bottom is in, man. The NASDAQ down 5%. If we get down 7%, it's a wash and we halt for 15 minutes. So I don't think that's going to happen unless some sort of a wave comes in here. But I would not be long Meta today, nor none of these names. We're only long Robinhood, and we only have a very, very small amount left of this name as we just let it bleed to the downside. The TQs are near the day's low, and that was a monster. So let's just stay with what we want to be, and that's short for right now.
Thank you, guys. Marathon Digital, what's going on with Marathon Digital? We are still negative on the day, but some positive signals here, guys. What happened? Marathon Holdings said it mined 829 Bitcoin in March, up 17% month over month from 706 Bitcoin mined in February here, guys. So that's looking good, increasing that productivity in that X hash. Let's see what the boys think about Mara.
All right. It's interesting because it is Marathon Digital, but I always call it Mara.
So do I.
There's so many names that are like that. I get it.
We're not the only ones. Like a lot of people. I don't know why.
I think most people call it Mara.
English
but
language, yeah.
Yeah, the English language is weird. Before we get into that, I did trail out of, I keep wanting to say CrowdStrike, Coreweave. As Coreweave, so it consolidated for a while before breaking down, then it consolidated for a while before breaking that trend line. So kind of one of those weird ones where it took a little longer to make the move, but it bounced off of a prior, resistance into support. So we grab it 54, we just got out 52.5. Maybe it comes into resistance again. I can't predict the future, but that looks like a good level at 54. Try to reshort. Now Mara, I'm 1 for 2 on Mara, with the caveat. I know I say this a lot. Oftentimes the worst thing that can happen is you get stopped out, and for whatever reason, you could be going to the bathroom, you could be doing, for us doing our makeup, talking to somebody else, whatever it is, you miss that obvious re-entry point. So I shorted it once, which was okay, and then I re-shorted it, got stopped out, and just never got a chance to get back into Mara. Now, I'm still bearish on Mara. I'm bearish on the miners in a general sense, and this one in particular because it hasn't really fallen apart since it broke 12, but it certainly hasn't done anything great. Like you had a recovery day yesterday, and then you gap right under resistance. Now, I like the shorts way better in the 70s and 80s, closer to 12. But you know what? In a day like today, you're not getting that. So you take what you can get. It was right at that 40 to 40.5 range. If it gets there again, I'd probably try to put the same short on, as long as Bitcoin is not doing anything crazy. If Bitcoin has to do something to break the trend for Mara, one of the miners or one of the weaker names, to do something off these levels. It's had great support that it's losing. And this is support from 2020, the beginning of last year. It had this support in the teens, and you're losing that support. So unless something good happens in Bitcoin, kind of feel like this is just going to continue to head lower and drift lower, so favoring the shorts in this name.
All right, I mean, here is Bitcoin right now. We've been following the 200-period moving average on a 15-minute chart for a while. If you guys have been watching the show, you know that we talk about that all the time. And there's the break right there. It happens early, and it doesn't even think about coming back. So for right now, I don't think it's a wise decision to be going anything into crypto. Maybe we'll talk to Andrew about this in a couple minutes, see if he thinks of anything with Ethereum or Bitcoin or anything. But right now, it is starting to break lower. And I mean, if we're going to be a support and resistance trader, which we are, then you're coming into a level where it's held like 3 times. Once, I consider this almost like the same kind of a hold, but in 15 minutes, that's still 2-3 hours. So right there, it did hold 81.3 a couple times. So it looks like we're trying to get back into that area. So 81.3 or so here on BTC if you're looking to do anything. So that would be a long, worth testing. Give it maybe to an 80 break, but yeah, not looking great here, crypto. That is for sure. We've talked about some of the other names. Ethereum down 50+% on the year to date. Solana down more than 50% year to date. Bitcoin not even close to being down like that year to date, right? And so you got to just respect the big dog right there in Bitcoin. Okay, well, that is the rundown. And we teased it. Okay, Andrew's not ready. I was getting ready to do like an epic throw there to Andrew because, it was like, looks like he might even be frozen over there. I don't know what's going on. But yep, Adara does have breaking news from the White House. Uh-oh.
Donald Trump is talking right now, guys. I guess he was asked here about the market reaction to tariffs. He said, quote, it's going very well and that the market is going to boom. So we've heard Donald Trump's thoughts now on these brand new tariffs. Day one of trading on these tariffs, down about 4% on the NASDAQ. Donald Trump saying the market will boom. Back to you.
Maybe.
Yeah, well, I mean, he's already, look, could boom for sure.
Yeah,
we're down 20. Now we're going to talk about it booming upside. But the thing about Donald Trump is, and I got to give him some credit for all of this, is that he had never, at least this term, he's never said like the market's going to be okay. This is the first time that I've heard him say anything really about the stock market, especially in relationship to the way he was acting his first time there.
There's a needle he's trying to thread.
Right.
Because if you really think about it, okay, so if you could pull this off with the austerity and then sort of, again, while I'm looking at a Coreweave chart, that probably doesn't matter. Let's pull up a Q chart where we're talking about this. No, like when you're thinking about threading the needle with austerity, which is one part of the plan, and which another part of the plan, resetting your trade balances, you also want to be able to refinance the debt at lower rates. So that's the missing piece of the puzzle here. Because then you get rates to get lower, and that's the problem. Is no one's expecting the Fed to lower rates at this particular time. So that's especially if you do get more inflation, and that's going to be the issue. It's not impossible. I kind of feel like and I hate to get political about this. There's a bunch of stuff that like Reagan said and tried to do in the 80s that didn't actually get done if you know your history, and I feel like there's an earnest attempt to follow some of that path. We'll see how it all plays out. Obviously, the kind of pullback that we've already had, I don't think it's unreasonable to see 420 in the Qs. If you had to ask me, do I think we're seeing 420 or the highs? I guess we're too far away from the highs. Okay, so 420 or the 50 period, I think you see the 420 area much easier. And that's just the next level of support. It's the August lows. That's all I'm getting at. I think a retest of the August lows before you get to the major moving averages is what I kind of feel for the market.
All right, yeah, exactly, and that's right there. America first, not stock market first. But I think you'll start to change that a little bit here, as I believe you'll start to hear some stock market talk, and you just heard it right there with Adara. So I feel like there's going to start to look at it, but I think he cares a lot about the Dow. So we'll wait to see on that one. All right. So right now we are ready to go. The smartest man in the room is about to enter the room, and that's always a great thing. So there it is right now. It is Mr. Andrew Rader from the famed Rader Trader Report. Andrew, how are you doing? We've already coined this day, Liquidation Day. We coined it that yesterday, and it seems like it's happening right now today. How are you doing on this wild day?
I'm doing wonderful. The weather is improving.
The weather is great.
And I sweated the first time working out the other day in probably 3 weeks. So that was nice.
Yeah, man. It's right here in Toronto, it's like 70 degrees. It's outside, I think it's 20 Celsius or so. It is absolutely
It's going to get
fantastic.
cold again. That's
How's your soccer game going over there?
So during my professional career of 3 games a week now, adult co-ed league, we're actually doing pretty well.
Nice.
I've got a few knocks, a few bruises, but that's what I love. So I'm soaking it up before my top secret mission this summer.
That's right.
I won't get to play soccer during that. So, yeah.
Any little quick hints on this top secret mission? Can you drop something?
Oh, it involves trading. It involves a lot of trading.
It involves Miami and trading is all that I know so far. So every time you're on... Okay, right now the Qs are just going a little crazy here. The market is just popping up. So there we go, man. It is your president, Andrew, that is now talking about this market. And there we go. A nice little bump up there on the NASDAQ. It seems so dramatic when we go 50, 60 handles now. But when you zoom back out, Andrew, you really see that there's been a lot of damage put into this market now. The NASDAQ, I mean, down 5%. This is reminding me of some of those COVID days, obviously a couple of 4 or 5 years ago now. What do you make of this here today? The move in line with sort of some of your expectations, or a little bit more dramatic than we thought?
Yeah, to say that the reactions of the market have been, somewhat predictable is quite a difficult topic to explain. But what I will say is that majority of these movements, while they do seem overblown at some times and underwhelming at others, it's chaotic, but there are some signs and some clarity that we can see through different parts of the market. So specifically, one way that I've been actually kind of approaching these markets is from the options market. Now, over the last 2 weeks, this has actually been somewhat difficult. And the reason being is because right now in the markets, what's going on is this massive deleveraging process. And so following February, when we had that OPEX, the 21st and beyond, the 19th and beyond, when we had that drop in the markets, you're seeing this massive kind of unwinding. We saw headlines that I talked about a few weeks ago with Citadel and Millennium seeing these hedge funds, seeing the biggest losses they've seen in multi-year periods. And why is that? What's going on? Well, a lot of these hedge funds, the way they trade, a lot of even the bigger ETFs and index holders, they are struggling with a lot of these different pair tradings, these different correlations. Things are starting to break down. And you ask yourself, well, why? Does it take a 20% drop or 30% drop to do that? Why haven't we dropped more than we have? We are down 10% from the highs, which seems like a lot, but is it really? And the question is, you don't have to drop a market a lot to cause a lot of pain. And in fact, this market drop, a lot of people are arguing, is better that it's smaller, because the longer and slower it goes down, the more pain these funds actually experience, because all of them bought hedges. And when they buy these hedges and the hedges aren't working, the puts to the downside, well, now instead of just buying more hedges, they have to actually downsize their portfolios. So it continues that selling pressure. Now, what that looks like, I think moving forward, that the dips will continue to be bought, and actually that a slower drop down in the markets is the preferred path, despite these 3.5% drop days. I think, again, as we've seen, the dip by trade, even on the way down, has been a reliable one at that.
Yeah, a great point by you, talking about some of these guys having to get a little liquidated there, suffering these losses and having to unwind some of these trades. So maybe we do continue to drip just a little bit. You see the move in gold lately? Huge move, breaking out. Down a little bit today. Actually, I don't know if it's recovered there. Was down early on. You think that trade continues, gold as a little bit of a hedge to market uncertainty, or does this kind of new news here and a little bit of a change in direction with the current economy and GDP potentially, does gold still hold up at these levels?
Well, I wouldn't say gold is necessarily a short. What I would say is that you can expect a significant slowdown in the buying pressure of gold. I think that gap down today was actually also a sign of this consolidation or topping process to initiate. How long that is, who knows? But one thing that I can infer from the gold trade with its strength is now that it's starting to slow down. One trade that I'm actually looking at is TLT bonds. Now, this was one that we mentioned a while ago, but it wasn't quite primed and ready. But if you actually look at my screen right here, this is the 10-year minus the 3-month maturities. And if you go to fred.com, this is a great way to see this. Right now, we've dropped underneath of that. We came back above, re-inverted, and now we are back under. Typically, from my research, you typically don't drop below negative 0.20. And we're right around 0.15. And typically, this is kind of the area you start to see where bonds start to take off very, very soon. And even today, you can see kind of the massive correlation, that negative correlation is starting to return in the markets. We look at bonds, they've been selling off for the last 4 years. And we're like, well, what the heck? No one wants bonds. But when is that process going to start turning where people do start to like bonds again? What's that going to take? Is it going to take yields to continue to drop? What's that going to look like? I think TLT is a decent trade into April and May to the upside, as we've seen.
Quick question for you, because I know you're going to mention bonds there, Andrew, which I love that you always go to something a little bit more macro. So I was sort of talking earlier how if you look at, theorize what the plan might be for the administration, part of that is probably restructuring the debt at lower rates. But the concern is no one's really pricing in any Fed rate cuts, because the labor market is, through all this, is actually it's holding up pretty well. You're worrying about the inflation with the tariffs. So how much do you have to look at, in a general sense, like Friday's number when we get non-farm payrolls, paying attention to messaging from the Fed when you're looking over at TLT, because they just haven't been, if we get those cracks, they might get their hand for us, and I think that'll be a big deal. Like, how much are you looking at the macro side of things, paying attention to economic numbers, as opposed to, I know traders like us, we care more about earnings on stock. Is it really all about labor for you right now, or are you just not even paying too close attention to it and you're just watching the curve?
I think we're caught up in an area where there's so much data going out. I mean, if you go to social media, you'll see data on housing markets. You'll see data on, doom and gloom data charts all across the board. But really what we need to focus on as traders, specifically for, number one, we need to highlight what trade are we trying to make? Are we trying to make a trade in equity, bonds, commodities? What are we trying to do there? And I do have two ideas, specifically with equities and the bonds, and how they kind of, what I'm looking for with the Fed. Now, I think a meeting ago, the last meeting or the meeting before, the Fed actually came out and said, we're getting close to QE. That was basically the summary of what they said. And with that comes them stopping the selling pressure of bonds. They're no longer going to sit there and continue to press bonds lower. And so that really sets the stage for now, wait a second. what is it going to take to get bonds to be attractive more than equity? We've seen yields for the first time drop TNX below 4.2, which was a level I talked about with you guys all the way back in October, which it had rebounded off of and stayed above. So this is the first time we're dropping below 4. You're also seeing that reinversion on the 10-year minus the 3-month. And you also had the Fed last meeting kind of say, hey, we're getting close to QE. And QE is that time where typically you start to see much more dramatic pressures on the economy, specifically the equities market, and also a benefit in the bonds market. So that's kind of what we're seeing right now. And, when you look at the SPY, the big question is, hey, does this need to go 20, 30%? As I said before, I don't think it needs to go that deep, especially this year. And I think that the dip buy trades are going to be good ones. Despite a negative 3.5% drop today, you're still going to see a lot of opportunities on the dip buy. CVS today, even healthcares are holding very strong. And so what is going to come of that? Solars even could be a great continuation trade if we do start to move into next week. But right now, I'm trying to stay away from a lot of the data. There is a lot of macro charts that people spew out there. And we've been seeing this since 2020, right? We've seen credit, people were talking about credit debt, all-time high for the consumer. And yet here the market is booming in that sense. I wouldn't say ignore it, but what I would say is that as a trader, you have to take a lot of this with a grain of salt and understanding that the market's already working towards understanding all of these things, and they've probably priced in a lot of it to begin with.
Yeah, and as you said, maybe look for the things that aren't absolutely bleeding. In the case, like you said, with solar, maybe it's a little bit of something that it just doesn't have that much far it can. The bottom's already kind of been put in for a while on it, so maybe there's less doom and gloom. The sellers have already won. You saw that with Lululemon today. But on the other side of that coin, while we have you here, you can't say the same thing for the Russell. And I think in this particular case, you said the dip buys will be good. I think it's always important to remember where to look and where not to look, because the Russell stands out today. There's no question about it. The 6 points down. There's a lot being made of the death cross, but I mean, it did have a death cross on the daily chart, continuing to head down. So I know in the past you've looked at Russell for the Russell for some trades. IWM on your mind? How bad do you think it could get? Especially, I think in this case, rates do matter in their particular case. So I think we have to pay attention to the Fed here. But they're at a pretty big turning spot at 190. I don't like it here, but what are your thoughts?
I don't like it either. And I think that, especially the Russell right now, it has struggled to outperform or even move more than SPY or QQQ.
Yeah,
so if you're going to buy the dip, you might as well look at those two names because they have higher betas and will move more than IWM, which has been suppressed. You definitely want to see a different environment and a different timing for the Russell. I don't think it's now. You're going to need a big shift in market regimes. Now, the important thing that I actually am looking for over the next few weeks is as the market, if it continues down, then you're going to see a lot of liquidity start to dry up. And it's going to be trying to search for liquidity. And during that time frame, during that search for liquidity, there's always a shift in regimes of what starts to do well in the market. For example, today, if you look at Coca-Cola, KO, that's starting to, pop. Same with a lot of the defensive names, XLU, even Sean and Neil were talking about some of the Walmarts, the Costcos bouncing off the lows. We get this defensive rotation, and as the liquidity starts to dry up, the emphasis moves from super moving tickers to now everyone wants to trade the names with good balance sheets. So when in illiquid markets, not that we're necessarily in one right now, but as liquidity contracts, participants start to go towards balance sheet names. This is where fundamentals actually start to matter. And so when you look at these names, I definitely continued to stay bullish on XLU, on KO and these staple names, the more sound ones, less so necessarily the targets and things like that. But that's what I would be looking at. So overall, moving forward, I think the defensive trade is still going to be a decent one to the long side. And even names that are going to benefit from, even one that I was looking at was Hershey's, right? Names that are going to benefit from this drop in commodities and things like that. If you actually look at cocoa futures, these things have been getting absolutely slaughtered recently. Are they going to break the low? Things like that. So overall, I would look at more fundamental names. This is actually a time where those can actually be a big driver of demand as liquidity starts to contract. And then once it starts to expand again, that's when you go look at your NVIDIAs. That's when you go look at your semiconductors and things like that.
Yeah, great insight. And of course, I saw you sneak in that one last symbol in there with a nice little bottoming tail candle on the daily for Hershey's. We all like some chocolate.
He's like that name for a minute.
I know. And I see that candle on the daily chart. I know what's up, the 50-period holding as well. Yeah, great. It actually does look like a good setup. But
This kid's got a sweet tooth over there, you know? He likes that. He likes that chocolate.
He knows
All
chocolate's where it's at, so that's fine.
You a dark chocolate or milk chocolate guy?
Dark chocolate all the way.
Yeah,
I don't
yeah,
care.
I think a lot of
It's
people
just
are.
the more gentleman's agreement, you know?
Yeah, I know. Yeah, from one gentleman to another. I know.
There we go.
Yeah. Okay. What about? Can we? I've never actually asked you about an individual stock, kind of right out of the blue eyes. I know you're more of a macro guy. Do you want? Can I give you a stock and then maybe you'll call it up and we'll see what you think about it? In general.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
You know a name that I've been talking about here on the show a little bit, Netflix. So NFLX. I'm trying to find names that are not necessarily going to be too hit by tariffs, something where no matter what happens to the economy, they're still going to have revenue. I'm not sure anybody's rushing today to be like, oh my God, my account's down 10%. I might as well cancel my Netflix. So I wonder if this stock does have some runway back to the upside. I believe it does. These bottoms are not really being retested. You are holding some of those levels. What's your take on a stock like Netflix?
So with a lot of these names, specifically communication stocks, so the ETF, you can actually look at things like XLC, or even, we look at, when we think of Netflix, we think of Meta and Netflix together. Netflix is a mega cap, and mega caps right now are in a tough spot because, if you looked at the previous Trump administration, he actually did impose some tariffs. But the difference between now and then is he gave exceptions. So if you look at 2016 tariffs, a lot of the big boys, such as Apple, came to him and said, hey, look, we do all this for the economy. Can you give us a little bit of a break here? So it actually turned out that mega caps got kind of a scapegoat out of the tariffs. And the question is, will that happen now? If it does, that's going to cause a substantial rebalancing back into mega caps, because a lot of the big scares right now are that, a lot of these guys are going to topple in the face of, the mega caps in tariffs, because they don't get an exception. And what does that look like for a lot of them? Of course, we saw with Nike today, not that it is a mega cap, but we saw, these names that rely heavily on those exported goods compared to, or imported goods as well. The Chinese connected names, they get hit pretty hard. But as far as the mega caps with Netflix, I do like that. I think if you are going to approach mega caps, it would be Amazon or Netflix. Also, try to position yourself in an area where the implied volatilities are higher. So for example, Amazon right now has historically higher volatility than it has over the last few weeks. And that's unusual, especially in this market when you're not seeing these big implied volatility spikes. But Amazon is one. And so if you're like, hey, I want to sell puts on something, or maybe I want to try to position into something, it's going to be Netflix or Amazon for me. I like those two the most.
All right. I mean, yeah, that's we've been saying Amazon, Meta, Netflix as some names that we are favored. Tonight, I'm taking my whole family. This is probably more appropriate to you. It is the release. It's appropriate to us as well. I was actually talking with Randy. He's a fan of this. Today is the release of the Minecraft movie. So the Katina family has bought some seats there. We're going into the D box, which is the moving seats. We've got the 3D glasses ready to go. You ever played some Minecraft in your youth?
I have a minecart with 700 horsepower at home, and let me tell you, I do like to play some Minecraft, Sean. So I do. I actually do have. Wait, hold on. Stay right there.
Of course you did.
This is great TV.
He gone.
Oh, there he is. Oh, nice shorts.
I went to the store the other day. Don't make fun of my shorts. I went to the store the other day, and I got a Minecraft.
I saw that.
Poppy. Okay.
There we go.
Yeah,
Bought one of these.
There we go.
In support of the Minecraft movie, because I looked at this and I said, you know what, I like Poppy, but I also like Minecraft. So, I would lie if I said I wasn't a man-child. Now, I will say, sorry, ladies, but I do play Minecraft with my girlfriend, Kirsten. That is a game she likes to play. And she doesn't like to play the other games that I play. So, it's
just keep doing.
You gotta find something they like.
Bro, just keep doing whatever she says. Okay, I'll be fine.
Yeah,
it is the entire time I play. It is literally, can you get me more flowers and breed more cows? And that's about it. So anyway,
she's talking about breeding cows already. Okay, this relationship might be a little bit more serious than you think, there, my guy. But Minecraft, great game. I just want to let you know that we were going to there. And funny that you had that. So, but yeah, great job with Netflix. It kind of one into the other, right?
Yeah, it works right into
media companies there. So.
Need to get it on stream pretty quick. We always appreciate having you on there, especially when dropping some knowledge. I like that Hershey's look, and We'll see if that bottoming tail holds up, and we'll check out TLT for sure next time we talk to you in there. Always a pleasure having you, Andrew Rader, one of our good friends of the show. Can't wait to talk to you next time, brother.
Yep, and I have one more announcement.
Ooh, okay.
Announcement time.
Okay. You know, I like to leave some things to fizzle out here. For those that are looking short, I would be very careful into the 11th, because next week there's some little birdies tweeting around Wall Street saying that we are going to get a nice big chunk of change to the upside. Here's the level to watch: 550. If the markets gap into or above 550 anytime in the next 5 days, that is your signal to long, because it will force a lot of people out of their positions short, and it will fuel a nice rally to at least 579. So there's your targets. There's the call. And that's what you guys can look for, all right?
We'll definitely look out for it. Appreciate you so much. Andrew Rader, always dropping those last-second tidbits. I know you'll have to leave us with a little something. Right now, Intel is going nuts. We're going to get you out of here. Can't wait to talk to you next time. Our good friend, Andrew Rader.
I'm going to go put some longer shorts on, I guess.
Yeah, those are fine. Keep those shorts on, my guy. That is absolutely fine.
Intel's
gorgeous weather.
Intel's going nuts.
Yeah, I heard something about Taiwan semi.
Intel just ran $1 higher. It continues to go here.
We're getting rich, baby.
All I heard was something about Taiwan semi. We're going to go right over to Adara in a quick little second, because I'm sure she was able to hear it a little bit better as we had Andrew in our ear. But big move up, 5%. Breaking news on Intel.
I'm long.
So here's, I put the ticker in there wrong. Here's Intel, the information reporting that Intel and Taiwan Semi have, quote, tentatively agreed to form a chip-making joint venture. It's worth noting previously we've had executives from Taiwan Semi deny that they are at all in any way in talks with Intel. They were kind of disgusted by the idea, but the information now reporting that apparently Intel and Taiwan Semi are in a tentative agreement to form a chip-making joint venture. Definitely not their first report of its ilk. And now we're going to take a moment before we send you back to the guys to thank our friends at ProfitX. Do you want top-tier odds and total control? ProfitX brings you peer-to-peer picking, open API access for automation, and cost-efficient trading, all in one place. It's like day trading your favorite sports. Make offers, match plays, and even manage your risk with diverse prediction options. Just don't just place picks. Exchange them. ProfitX, the smarter, faster way to play. User can use code TraderTV to get our sign-up offer of 2% cash back up to $300. Back to you.
Thank you very much, Adara. And shout out to ProfitX. Ooh, was just holding that 22 level. So there was a prior low here on a 15-minute chart. I'll go to a 3-minute chart. It's going to be way easier to see on a 3. I just went in front of this prior high where we got stopped out this morning and looking for it to hold. It does not look like it wants to on INTC. If we're going to lose this 80, I'm going to jump out of this. I heard that same story. Couldn't really make it out at first because we were listening to Andrew, but it seemed pretty bullish to me. Unfortunately here, all right, stopping underneath that 80 level. Until it calms down a bit, I do not want to be adding to this position. To give you an idea on the higher time frame, well, you can see the line on the chart. 21, good support level where it's also bouncing from. So right now it's trying to hold on to that 22. The good news for Intel has been,
let's go Intel,
that it's really not that far away from these lows, everybody. So it's like it's in that group of stocks where like maybe all the bad bleeding has happened, and you get a great reaction on some positive news here. So I'm gonna get some out in front of the high. Go. Just look at that daily chart, 2240.
Oh shit!
2240 is actually the 50-period moving average here.
Let's
on
go.
INTC. Let's go.
There was just huge size right there.
I saw it
on Intel. That was
just filled it in one shot.
Part of my French there, but yeah, it just absolutely ripped through it. We're long, man, and we are long shares, ladies and gentlemen, right now. So let's go. Let's see what we're doing right now on Intel. I know you're long there as well. What kind of a unit do you have on this right now? Is it a 1-unit play, 2-unit play? What are you thinking?
I'm 1/5 of what I was short yesterday. But like I never really got into it on earnest today, I'll be honest with you, but 1/5 of yesterday, mostly because it was nowhere near VWAP. So when it's that
so how many
far
units
away from
yesterday?
VWAP,
like when you're talking, because you don't talk about shares.
Yesterday was a full position on it.
Okay, so
today is much lower.
All right, here we go.
Chasing it way too much, but we just broke the high of the day, and we just broke the 50 on the daily very, very quickly over here. You have some overhead resistance, but not much till you get to 2270 on Intel as it continues to fly. I have no idea if there's going to be some kind of ancillary move somewhere else. We're just looking at Intel in a vacuum there, but I would imagine you're seeing some other things move. Dara again?
Yeah, I just want to clarify a little bit more here. So we do have Taiwan Semi pushing up on this news as well. Again, the information, in case you missed it, reporting that Intel and Taiwan Semi have tentatively agreed to form a chip-making joint venture. Apparently, Taiwan Semi will take 20% of stake in this reported new company. I do want to mention once again, Taiwan Semi has absolutely rebuked and refuted any previous report suggesting that they're going to be involved with Intel. So keep that in mind. This is absolutely not confirmed. Back to you.
Let's go. Here we go, guys. We've got a quite a good position on right now of Intel, which is why I was asking Neil. So let's see what happens right now as we continue to go higher and higher and higher. What a day has turned around right now. This is what I'm talking about. You never know where that bread is being buttered. We're short the NASDAQ. We're long Robinhood. We come over here. We slap up Intel a little bit, get going back there to the upside, man. Let's start to take some out as we've gotten loaded up. We even reloaded this trade. There it goes. It's Intel. It's going to be a big one here for us, or for me, as it continues to go higher and higher and higher right now. Let's go Intel now. I mean, again, little nervous. We are now out of half. Actually, we're out of half of this position right here, right now for 40 cents. Not sure about that story, as Adara has said that Taiwan is kind of backing away, so or not commenting on it. We're going to wait to see what winds up happening right now. Intel and
said they're denying it.
Right. Yeah.
Oh, they haven't denied. Well,
Right.
Okay,
So they haven't denied it yet.
Okay, well,
But anyways, we're getting out.
I punched out when she said that, to be honest with you. I was like, well, it's at these highs. It's at the resistance level. And then I heard denying it, so I just kind of punched out. It might be a happy accident, but so that's my bad. They didn't actually deny it. They're denying it in the past that this is true. So I'm going to look for the support down here at 2180 and just try to jump back into it if we get a bit of a dip into it. So yeah, I just misheard. That's fine. It ends up turning a little bit, but that's because it was at yesterday's highs. Let's see if we can't get a dip by. Ideally, money fills under 2022, pick something up in the 90s, but maybe you can only get some 22s. And I did glance over at TSMC to see what was going on. I kind of felt like if that was real, maybe they'd be going to the downside, but it's not doing near the volume that Intel is. Like, clearly, it's Intel which is doing the big move and doing the bigger relative volume. Clearly, a 20% stake is not chump change. Intel's smaller, but that's still a pretty decent chunk. You know, they're not that dead.
All right, here we go, guys. Let's go. Let's just keep on going, man, here on TSM. This is what Trader Life's all about. You see the story, you get in there, you punch long. There it goes. We've gotten burned on these plays before, but definitely not today, as there goes Intel. See you later, alligator. We're going to get some more information on this one, of course, with Adara. Let's go now.
Yeah, I just want to go over this story one more time here. So again, the information reporting, and this is not at all the first report of its kind, that Intel and TSM have tentatively agreed to towards a joint venture. This is going to be a new company, a new joint venture, through which they will be running Intel's chip-making operations. Now, of this new joint venture business, TMC is set to take a 20% stake. So not in Intel, but in their joint venture. Apparently, some Intel executives are concerned that it could trigger mass layoffs, so Intel having some concerns about it. And again, as mentioned earlier, previous versions of this report have been denied by TSM. As of right now, though, no comment from Intel or Taiwan Semi on this report coming from the information on a joint venture. Back to you.
Trader's going to trade.
Traders
22.
Trade.
You kill it, Adara. Because Sharif's not here. We have not heard one get it, Adara, this week. I'm going to say it right now. Get it, Adara. Great singing on that one right there. And thankfully, we're missing Sharif, but we also haven't heard a Ram yet this week. So I'll say shout out to Ram as well. But yeah, no, good day so far here, man, as we continue to just go. There it is, man. Nice move to the upside again as we continue. I'm going to get some more out at 79. I don't know where we're going on this right now, but we have about... I mean, we still have more shares, you know, than many would have, but we still have a big position right now on Intel as it even goes higher, although I only have 20% left. But this is the benefit, again, like sometimes when you're sitting there trading and you're wondering, like, you know, what is the strategy to do? It's like, we just had Rader Trader on. This is news-based, so obviously as we rip up right here, now it's 50, 70, sorry, what am I talking about, 70 cents. We're about to do this kind of a club again here, Neil. We're about to be $1 in the money on this trade because there goes Intel through 90s now. Will it stop? I mean, if we're gonna look for some levels, look, man, honestly, this is just a trade. It's a good one. Here today, we're super happy with what we've been doing. We have $1 in the money on Robinhood. We have $1 in the money on Intel, and we have $2 in the money on the TQQs right now. So this has been a monster day, man. We've only have one red symbol there today, and well, actually, it was Intel earlier. Here's Intel. We were red on Intel earlier, right there, but that changes immediately, and there it goes right up to the upside. As it looks, hey, we must just get another piece out, man. This is what happens. You have enough bullets to fire. It's power hour, and there it goes, nicely done there as we power up. We only told you we had a little bit left of Intel. Now we have a little bit less left of Intel. So starting to get the rest of this out. We right now, we just told you we had a little bit. We have less than, we have about 12, 13% or so left right now. So I'm gonna get another piece out here at 68. And that's exactly what we're doing. That's why we're here. Hit the like, hit the subscribe. You've done it again, Intel, and I wanna thank you for that play. It was a big stock for me yesterday. We were red on it there today, but we turned that frown around, and now we'll see what can happen on with the rest of the day. I mean, I'm going to put a stop basically at 22 if it comes back in. We just got another piece out right there, by the way, so we have 5% left. So 5% left of Intel, so we'll see if this one wants to go up for the dream again. So let's see Intel continue to run, man. That'd be pretty nice. Intel so far, Neil, great trading there, great story. We took it, we waited for it, and that's that. So now we wait. Hopefully we break through 23. Next level's up, 24. Could have a problem at 25. I'd like to see the name halt, quite frankly, but I don't think that will happen. We'll wait to see there. News pending is already out. So I don't...
It feels like we've heard everything.
What a day. And the thing about it is, man, Intel, we talked about this earlier. Remember when I did the board? Intel was basically the only name on this quote board of mine that was turning green earlier when we, this is my watch list, yeah, but I don't know why I expanded it like that. Right into here. So we had, before on the early show, we had zoomed down, and look at this. It is still the only green name. So it was already running before this story, but it did make a move down. Remember, it got real hit down there. We had missed AMD, $5 winner by 4 cents twice, but we get this one right there. It's Intel. Good story, good trade, carrying the day right there. It's a monster. There's some size at 23 there for Intel. That's just 100,000 shares. Like, that's not that much, but if you add them up there, bye-bye. Neil, that is a trade right there on Intel. Oh boy, Sean, too much emotion, but so far so good. Let's go, good break there on Intel. We're doing it, it's the hour of power. Shout out to everybody that's with us, man.
Yeah, that's what it's all about. It's a great trade. It's a great look on Intel right now. There's a couple of things that were strong on my board, but they were inverse. UVXY is fantastic. Right. So if you're just looking at it from a technical perspective, yeah, I punched right out the second I heard that it was a key word. I'm like, nope, I'm jumping out of it. It's going to be my style and what keeps me consistent, but I'm hating it. I'm trying not to get FOMO. I can tell you, I was going to tell a story about FOMO when it was on the midday, but I'm like, it was a midday show and I was kind of butting in. Maybe later I'll get to it. But you're at the 200 period moving average in about 30 cents. I don't know anything besides that in 24 that stand in your way. So it's right about in here, 23 and a half, and then you got 24, which is standing out in TSM. It seemed to me like when TSM was going up, yeah, it's right back down. That makes more sense. TSM, I don't know why it would be going up on that story, but it's starting to fade back in here. If the market takes another rollover, if the market takes another leg to the upside, I think TSM looks like a fade off those highs, established resistance, and this story, if there's any truth to it, wouldn't seem to be overly bullish to the stock price, at least in my estimate there. Either they're spending money or they're issuing or they're using stock if they're going to make some kind of a combination. So let's see what happens with Intel. I'd like to see a 3-minute bar close and maybe consolidate if we're going to look for re-entries, but I think TSM's looking like a fade off of those highs. Oh shoot, Coreweave, in all that distraction, Coreweave got back to my 54. So might take a reversion like we did before in CRWV. Like right back. If it starts doing the same thing it did before off of VWAP, where you had a brick wall at 54.5, I'll play the same trend break on Coreweave. So just want to go back to the well on that one. Worked the first time, gave you a quick $1 quarter, see if we can't get the same thing again. But if you're not looking at Intel and TSM, not really sure what else you're looking at here. As I just heard, Apple continues its trend to the low of the day. Apple didn't go SSR, but it's about to right now.
Apple. Yeah, we do not want to get too fancy here today. I appreciate everybody in the chat. Thank you, Skull. Thank you, everybody that's in the chat there. You know, we both really you know, appreciate everything that you guys are saying, and yeah, this is a trading show, man, and this is what we're gonna do. So there it goes, man. Straight to the upside. As we have some bangers on today. We only have 2 longs. It was the Robinhood long that we gave you just before we went to the pool, and that really worked out for us. We had a small stop there near the day's low, and it just blew up. So that's going to be huge. Intel is going to be huge. Well, it's not even that huge. But again, we don't take. That's why I was asking about the number of shares there, or not the share number. We don't disclose our number of shares. As I said, everybody around here trades very, very differently, everybody, right? So, but at the end of the day, it was just about unit sizing, because on stories, like I've had a story before on Boeing where it's been like, oh, I think this is great, you know, and then all of a sudden, whap, you know, it's like completely the other way around, and then you're like, what have I done? So there are going to be plays like that where you don't necessarily want to use all of those shares or too many of them. And, you know, you get caught sometimes, you know, in the crosshairs of how many shares to use, what's appropriate, so on and so forth. So, yeah, we're in it there on Intel. Let's see what we can do with this. So far, so good, like we keep on saying, but it's not just a saying, it's so far, so good. So let's just keep on waiting and see if and when Intel eventually stops. I just took another piece out right there because we have to, and let's go to the high side. I just keep getting, this is how I trade. We may have all these winners, but again, if you want to hold for longer, you're going to make more money than I, as you can see that we've just scalped it out on the way up. But we're having a pretty good day today, man. I mean, the TQs, Nike early, Palantir, not Palantir, Nike early, Hood late, the TQ. I mean, we have the high of the day in the futures. These are real. Like, this is real. You're going to see other traders, like, not us, but you're going to see other traders out there posting things. Like, these are real trades. Like, I'm actually in these. And so that was a nice move downward, and a very, very small piece left. Robinhood, Intel still screaming higher. And then the NASDAQ, we're just going to hold until we take out probably VWAP, to be honest with you. But we have a crumb left right now. So, yeah, man, big day alert, and glad to be doing it in front of everybody one more time. We did get stopped out of Nike of our last 2 or 3% right there as well. But look at that. There it comes right back into the lows again as this market continues to get cracked lower.
Well, speaking of getting cracked lower, well, Palantir is getting to 85 again. Well, it's actually relatively strong. And just a note on Coreweave, it's not looking as weak as it did around here. Like, it has yet to revert. I'm not going to automatically jump into this short. Just because it turned around here before doesn't mean you short it back in. It's got to set up, man, and this is just not setting up whatsoever. A little bit of strength coming into Palantir. I keep giving a peek at Apple because, as I said, it's at the low of the day. One little break of the low and Apple's 10% down, and I'm eyeballing a mean reversion trade to the upside. The other thing that's happening, in addition to hopefully pressing into resistance on Palantir, I'd like to see a topping tail candle through 85 and look for a rejection. What we did before with Palantir, that's what I'd like to see. IBIT is breaking out. Oh, don't jinx it, Neil. IBIT's breaking VWAP right now. Bit of a V-shaped recovery here. Higher lows being put through. We've seen it run before. It's making higher lows off of the volume-weighted average price. I'd like to think that a reversion for the market today is kind of makes sense as far as we're down. So into power hour, maybe some shorts doing some covering, but Bitcoin's held 82,000. IBIT's now holding VWAP. This is one I would rather join the trend. I think I had one long today. Okay, fine. We were just in the 2 longs if you include Intel. And IBIT, I'd look for that to be the third on this little dip into the volume-weighted average price. So holding 82,000, breaking back out. I think shorts can cover here for sure. I haven't seen a good setup for a re-entry into Intel, and I'll show you for myself why. it's still, like this is a 3-minute chart. Look at the last 2 candles. Not a heck of a lot of clarity. You got a topping tail candle and a bottoming tail candle. So if I'm not sitting in it, I'm not doing anything until it gives me some kind of a better setup. It's basically, it's just daring you to make a mistake at this price if you're entering up here. I'd rather look at this trend potentially in IBIT and Coreweave and Palantir, which are both at resistance spots as we speak.
All right, it's your hour of power. I want to thank everybody for coming on board again here today. You know, big wins, big losses, big everything. I mean, this is what this is going to be happening over the next probably 3.5 years now as we go. Oh, I'm still looking at Nike.
3.5 years.
Yeah, even more. Yeah, well, 3.5. Yeah, and then we have midterms coming. Lots of stuff happening right now in the market. So you're welcome, Di, and everybody there in the chat for that. So Intel is just that trade for us again. So we have less. We have about 5% left, unfortunately. That's it. So again, good trade. Hope that you guys were able to hold on to that. And you know, if you were, cash out maybe a little bit. But yeah, I don't know. It is a good move up, and my style is to get out. So that's what we did. So we'll wait to see now where we can go from here. But so far so good on the Intel front. And there's another size spot there, 2350. Yeah, there's nothing actually there. So we'll see. We just broke through 2350, so there probably was size there the first time. But let's just go. We'll wait to see if there is going to be size up there at $24. So far, so good, man. Very, very well. Video news. This is for @Adara. So shout out to Miss A over there. Your contribution to my day's earnings cannot be underestimated, I guess. Oh, understated. Understated. Yeah. Your contribution to my day's earnings cannot be understated. Keep interrupting with news. Well, it's not an interruption as we want her. Well, I guess it is an interruption. It's more of a what's up type of thing, because we do understand that. And that's the whole point of getting somebody, you know, like an Adara and all this kind of stuff, because when there is news, although I don't really trade off breaking news, I know that some of you do. So there we go. It's another time to go to Miss A.
Speaking of news interruptions here, TWLO to the downside. Apparently, a hacker claims to have breached Twilio's base, leading to the breach here of 1 million customers' data. So apparently data has been sold here, nearly 1 million customers from TWLO. A hacker claimed to have done this. To my knowledge, it has not been proved or confirmed, but hacker claiming here to steal data from nearly 1 million TWLO customers. Back to you.
Yeah, just in real time here. I know you saw the chart of Twilio. Very different volume event on Twilio than what you see over on Intel. Like you got the candle, you got the big volume spike, but when you pull it up, you're just not seeing a lot of quote levitation. You're not seeing a lot of prints going through. So very, very different. And when you want a continuation play on a news story, that's the first thing I look for. The second thing I look for is if it's down, pull back into prior support. If it's up, pull back into prior high. In this particular case, let's see what happens at 91. Let it make the next move. That's the most important thing. And Sean said there was some size at 20. Almost at 2150 because that's where we were this morning. 2350. I don't think size matters, but that 200 period, at least for now, is seemingly mattering on Intel, and that's right at the last resistance spot in this area. So I think you can get a pullback. What's crazy about it to me is, if just from the support and resistance spot, it's still 2290 unless you're looking at lower time frame here. So you're waiting for it to get back in here off of this level, or VWAP at this point. Wow, that's a crazy one. Maybe it's topping out. I don't know. I'm definitely not shorting it. Just because I think it's a dip buy into those levels, I'm certainly not going to short it at that top. It would have to be at 24 to even consider it. What did set up there is didn't get filled on Coreweave. Yeah, it didn't get the fill on Coreweave as it broke the trend. I'll sit around, see if I can't get picked up on that one. Just heard a story about Coinbase, some disruptions, but they're not moving on Coinbase. This seems to happen a lot. I don't know. Whenever there's big moves happening in crypto, I've had some issues logging into Coinbase at the time, but not moving on that news whatsoever. It's still really just the Intel story.
Yeah, this Intel story. We're now at $1.70. Well, this will help pay for the Minecraft experience tonight. $22 or $23 a ticket to go
That's
see
'cause you have
that.
the D,
So
what are they?
yeah, we have everything. We have the D box. We've got
D-box.
the 3D and everything right there. But yeah, I'm a Cynic Club member, so I get a little bit of a discount there. But
Yeah, it's worth it.
at the end of the days, yeah. So there it is, man. Yeah, good job there on Intel. Just keep going. I mean, this is the thing about trading size. This is when size matters a lot. You know, because if you actually have shares, you can get out on the way up. And that's what we do all the time. And I saw Skull in the chat there asking about, like, how come I get out, like, so often and this and that. Yeah, I mean, that is the one thing that I need to work on for sure, is a little bit better, you know, holding on and trying to get out of more shares at better prices. So I do understand that 100p. Anyways, that's my problem. And I do appreciate all of the talk there in the chat. And thank you to A. Wheeler and everybody else out there for, you know, really just helping, you know, or the kind words there in the chat. Sorry, I was just making sure that I have the right orders out right there, because we just got out right there at 75s. So it's like, yeah, man, today is just one of those days again, and it's happening for us. So yeah, we're really happy, but right now we got to go back over to Adara.
This part of the show is brought to you by our friends at Worksport, because we are introducing a new discovery on the NASDAQ, Worksport, ticker WKSP. Worksport's a US-based manufacturer, and they're rapidly expanding with growing revenues, government contracts, and innovative green energy products designed to power your life off the grid. So whether you're on the move or seeking sustainable energy solutions, Worksport's got you covered. Now trading on the NASDAQ under ticker WKSP, you can discover the future of clean energy with Worksport. Back to you.
Thank you very much, Adair. Appreciate you. Shout out to Worksport, of course, as well. Come on, like, dude. I want Intel to break trend so it can give you that dip buy, but I also missed the fill, and I'm not chasing it in Coreweave. It always comes down to skewing it. If you're taking a mean reversion trade, for myself anyways, it's like in and then prior bar out. So if the prior bar high is my out, well, if you chase it $1 down and you're not moving your stop, either find a new stop or I'm not chasing it. And if I can't find a new stop, which I can't, the seller's at 54, I'm not getting it at 54. I know this Newsmax is a bit of a story. It's not really all the way back into this 60, but it's threatening to put in, call it like a descending wedge into a flat bottom. So there's your support. It's not really a flat bottom, but support at 60, descending wedge into that. We've seen crazier breakouts. I would only be able to go one way if I wanted to, because we don't have shorts for it today. I didn't pay for them, and I don't know that I want to. But that pattern does set up. I tend to think I'd rather be on the other side of a trade, like taking short breakdowns, but it is setting up a pretty good pattern here. So the only two things I'm looking at right now, it's volumes on Intel, and the setup for me is on Coreweave. First thing comes first. Intel, it's about 22.8 where that theoretical support would be. That's where they bought it up before. I think that's the spot. If it tries to bounce, I'll look for a re-entry point on that. Still not going to, yeah, Coreweave, I'm just going to cancel now. That's actually now $1 away. So I missed the fill there. It just already went $1 down. So it'll just be Intel for now. And the ES is at low of the day. Oh, shoot, Apple. ES, NASDAQ, low of the day. Apple, about 20, 30 cents from going SSR. So that's very close to going short sell restricted as well. Yikes. Lost in all the Intel is the fact that the market just made a fresh low of the day as well.
Yeah, not lost over here, guys, because we still have the short on the market now. 300 handles in right now off the high of the day. So, I mean, you know, it's been good. Hopefully we can get a little bit. Nah, I don't want it to get any worse, man. I mean, we missed, it's not exactly at the low of the day here, but we're getting pretty darn close to getting into that $50.60 or so. So, yeah, man, as we continue to push lower and lower right now, we still have this on board. I actually just tried to slap out of that hood, and we did not. So I'll have to, oh, that's Intel. Look at that drop down in Intel, man. We talked about it. We had 5%, then we got out. We have 2% left right now. Just getting out in like 2% tranches right there. So a good out for us there on Intel at the high side of it. You know, let it settle down now. We don't have to do anything. It's going to be a good stock for us. And Intel now making that move down. And there's Robinhood as well to fix up our day. Robinhood nicely cooking there to the downside now. But again, we got that. And that was a pretty good trade for us on Robinhood early. and we just didn't want to sit in it for too much there. If it breaks down, we talked about it breaking VWAP, so we got to respect our game there, and that's our game is VWAP. So it just got in there. We got out of that. I don't know. Let's just let this thing bleed, I guess. Palantir, we were in and out of this like super fast right there early when we were short against 83. We had written that down, and it got there real quick. So I was like, okay, well, maybe it's worth something there as we watch. Okay, Intel's trying to bounce a little bit. I was just thinking, honestly, 23.40, if we can get back up there, let's get out, and then we'll just hold that breadcrumb one more time, because 23.50 is still $1.50 on this trade. So if we can get that, that'll be pretty good. And we'll wait to see. Is there anything else? We talked about Newsmax moving around a little bit. So let's go over here and have a quick look at that as well. Maybe Newsmax going to be a play for sure. $63.81. TSM is the other side of this trade, right? So if we look here at TSM, well, TSMC, I mean, well, we don't have that's going to be in Brazil. So TSM right now, there it is, 158 as they debate coming out. I mean, we're going to wait from Adara, but Adara's already sort of told us that there hasn't been like any kind of confirmation yet on that. So I just heard her yell out sort of that there still has been nothing. So TSM still moving down right now. And remember, generally speaking, it's the acquirer anyways that would go down. They're not acquiring Intel, it's just this joint venture. Yeah. Obviously a help for Intel and not as much for TSM.
In most environments, I like the old trade of when they beat up the acquirer for a couple of days, taking a shot at picking it up. The problem is the environment that we're in. And like because everything's downward trending, I don't know that I would follow that rule. It's usually a really I hate to say the term easy trade, but just long story short, I've been trading buyouts for a very long time, and when you do, you always look at the acquiring company and you pull up a chart, and it's just like you observe it anecdotally so many times. It's like, well, if it works so often, why not actually just do it? But in this particular case, A, they're not buying the whole thing. I'm talking about TSM, Apple, another low. They're not buying the whole thing, and B, like the chart looks, to be honest, disgusting. I don't know a better way to say it. Like everything else, it's breaking down into no support on TSM. So I'm not seeing anything that I like off of this where you're picking out, well, here's an obvious support level. Let them sell TSM off until it gets down there and just buy it up. Well, that's, to me, at 135, 140, if anything else, and it's not getting there. Yeah, remember I said I'd short TSM if it got any kind of a pop. There hasn't been one since, unfortunately. You might get a second. I might get a second shot at CRWV, although first move all the way down to 52 from 54. This time it actually just bounced off 53, so it's not the best when it's making higher lows. Might have just missed that shot. So it's going to be Apple. Be real, Apple's almost 10% to the downside. It's got a trend since VWAP. Two things happen. It either goes underneath the even dollar, it hits 10%, try to take it on the way back up for a bounce, or we break the trend line and get into Apple that way. Like I said, the market's at the low of the day, Apple's at the low of the day, Alphabet's at the low of the day, Tesla's threatening to get to the low of the day with a break. So I want to play for a reversion off the bottom. I think the risk to reward on Apple looks pretty good in here. Needs to happen soon, though. I don't want to be running into this type of a trade when the imbalances could be hitting. But it better happen in the next 15 minutes or so, like break the trend or at least go that 10% down. I actually selfishly wanted to go 10% down just so it's SSR tomorrow. Like that's the better trade oftentimes. This is a day two play when a major stock is short sell restricted. It just means the uptick rules in effect everybody, that's all. It's not like, it doesn't mean you can't short the stock. You just have to have the last print be off the offer and be green so that you can hit the bid to go short and remove liquidity. Either way that happens and it goes into effect, as I said, it needs to break 222 or 202. That's what I'm watching for.
Yeah, what's up to Adam there in the chat? Thanks, Adam. And we really appreciate when you came through as well here in Toronto. Lovely Toronto, which today is like booming outside, man. When Randy and I went to get the coffee, I went for my little bit of a walk out there today.
Short sleep.
It is 17 degrees right now.
My hands are literally freezing and I'm in a sweater right now.
So that is like 17 degrees. The birds are out, baby.
I should tell my physio guy we should do the workout outside today.
Yes, man. You should definitely tell that to your physio guy immediately.
I don't know if they have, well, the places that they're at, I don't know if there's anything close by.
Oh.
But
Yeah, man. Well, maybe he will. I mean, wait till you go out there.
That's what I've been
It is
dying to
gorgeous. Yeah, that's going to be like 65 maybe degrees today. And yesterday it was there was like a snowstorm yesterday. So, hey, man, why doesn't Donald Trump maybe figure out something about this climate? Because like yesterday, it was a complete disaster outside. Took Randy 3.5 hours to get home yesterday.
3.5 hours. Oh, shoot.
Yeah, man. Well, yeah. I mean, if you're driving yesterday, and you and him live quite far, but him much further than you.
It didn't seem that, well, I'm not that far out.
Well, there's probably no problems on this.
I take the train.
Yeah.
Well, if I'm being dead honest, and I have a habit of doing
I hate
so.
that saying, let me be honest. Like, do we lie?
Well, no, so here's the thing. Usually I wouldn't try to embarrass myself, but it was ridiculously icy out going from the train to my car.
Right.
And sometimes you get a little too much pep in your step. I came so very close to just bailing on and it's just, I know it's icy.
Yeah.
And I was almost that guy. You don't rush if you don't have to. I never run to catch a train. That's a new rule of mine because I once flat out pulled my hamstring trying to catch a train. I'll never do it again. I told this story before. The doors are closing and I'm on my ass as the doors close and everyone sees me just bail.
Oh, Fahad's been messaging me.
Why?
He's ready. He's ready for you.
Is he serious?
He is ready for you immediately. Whenever you're ready, he's ready. And I told him that you're getting ready. I said that we talked about it on the show.
I'm not even.
You're ready for that. You may not even get changed. You may just run against him in your chuck.
Hold on a second. I'm not even at the point in my rehab that I'm jogging yet. So when I was.
But last week you're like, bring this guy over here. You're ready. That's what you said.
I said once I'm able to run it.
No, I told him. Yeah.
No, it's funny how
he's not coming today.
No, but I'm just saying, like when I was 100% healthy, after I tear my Achilles, now all of a sudden he's ready.
No. He's been ready for a minute, man. He's ready. He didn't even know you tore your Achilles.
No, but I probably can't. I shouldn't. I'm not supposed to sprint.
Right. Yeah. I did tell him. 100%.
Yeah, it's probably like the winter.
But he didn't know. He didn't know that you tore it. That's fair. So you weren't actually even here that day that he came through looking for you. And that's when he found out that you had to. Anyways, Fahad used to work the board. And then we upgraded to Fabian and to Ramin. Shout out to Fahad, this former CEO of Veru Therapeutics or whatever that stock was. Those were the days, man. We've had some great characters here, great employees, great everything. What
are we looking at?
Is that coming? Is that... I mean, right now, but what am I looking at, though? I mean, I don't even, where's...
Not a meteorologist.
Yeah, okay, so it looks like there's things happening there, so thank you for that, Fabian.
So just very quickly, man, this is nasty on, like, what's crazy about Apple, the good news is the trend line's being respected.
Right, exactly.
The
if that was a chart,
bad
I
news
could tell you what I thought.
It's like, what are you going to do? Like, there's no breakout to be had. It's just riding the trend line. So I'm not... Let me hit save, because if I flip away from it, I don't hit save, then I have to redraw it. But yeah... Apple continuing to trend. It hasn't gone 10% down, but is really, really respecting this trend line with increasing volume as we get closer to the end of the day. Like volume is picking up off this low, which makes me like the closed bar, which is about to, oh man. All right, this is a 3-minute bar. It has a chance to close above the trend line for the first time. I could baby in, but that would be breaking a rule. You want it closing above that trend line. First things first. Charlie Henderson's asking, why short TQQ instead of buying SQQQ? On a prop floor, you're always trading with firm capital. It's a lot. You don't have to worry about buying power because it's a day trade, you're higher leverage. So there's no incentive or reason why you would need to trade something else. Like it's just easier to be long something if you want it to go up and short something if you want it to go down. We don't pay borrowing costs for TQQQ, and you don't have to worry about leverage. And if you're wondering, Neil Araya, why is Neil not trading? Did he blow up limit? Nope, not true. I have one losing stock today, but it's just being about particular with your entries. When we were talking about the midday, over the course of my career, I've generally always been a very, I'm just pretty good with risk to reward and risk and all that kind of nonsense. So I'm more of a consistent look for it, so I want that setup to happen. Clearly, Apple doesn't want to break this trend, so I'm not going to stare at it forever. I looked over at Coreweave to see if we could get that one, CRWV. I typed CrowdStrike every single time. I didn't like the setup. Well, it's not that I didn't like the setup. I didn't get filled on the trend break. I got the fill last time and was able to take it. That was the first thing we did, was have that short when we came back. But it didn't get me the fill the last time. And then I already got out of Intel. I punched out when I heard Adara say, well, I misheard her. She didn't say it was fake news. I simply just misheard her. She said that they had not was the last time through TSM had said that they were not interested. It turned out that they have not denied it. They have not made any comment whatsoever. TSM's still bleeding. But my look right now is going to be Apple. I feel like that's the setup that's the most interesting to me in the current moment. Intel did not hold a support level. I should go back and say, like, Intel, that 22.8, where it held before, it's not holding it now. So unless it gets to VWAP and starts holding the bid, again, I'm not going to foresee action on it. So still going to watch for this trend break on Apple. That corresponds with the market at the lows for obvious reasons. This is the NASDAQ trying to hold the low. The ES is also trying to hold the low. Man, this day has been absolutely nasty for the market. No questions. No questions asked. I just saw Jewel say in the chat, SoFi is dumping. Someone asked me today, hey, Neil, Robinhood or SoFi? And I was like, neither right now for myself. Everything's in wait-and-see mode for the buying, with the exception of energy, which I did put a stink bid on XLE.
All right, just quickly here. Yeah, I mean, the futures are continuing to go down. That's why we are holding this position here on the futures. Again, into the close, it's 3:30. Join Adair and I for the recap show where we'll have Steve Thielman coming from Trade the Pool. You guys all saw him last week. We'll see if that couch is there again. That should be really exciting. We'll see Steve there tonight. So everyone get ready. That was a lot of people enjoyed Steve. We did get out at 22.80 a little bit there. Now we have like 1% left of Intel. So that was an absolute banger there for the day as we continue to go up there right now. So yeah, after hours tonight, I'm not sure if there is. I'll send Adaira's just fantastic. Not only does she do what she's doing over there, but she also is giving us names. GES. What the hell is that? That's on General Mills. That is Guess. Oh yeah, Guess. Okay, so yeah, good day to come through there, retail guys. Right there. If I could guess, I would say lower. So we'll see there, down 12% today. Join Adaira and I as traders will once again stay late and talk everything about this day. And yeah, like this is what's up, Josh? What's up, everybody there in the chat? Is BTC, it's down, but stronger than the market. Yeah, so I've already talked about my correlation with IBIT and with, you know, what I feel is Bitcoin versus the market. And until the NASDAQ really gets going, I mean, everybody's got to feel good about themselves. Everyone's got to have enough money to go in there and buy Bitcoin. And right now, I don't really see that much, you know, good feels in this market now. So I would say let this settle down. I'm not super excited to go in there and buy Bitcoin. But again, like if you're dip buying NASDAQ or ES or something today, which by the way, there goes the NASDAQ down 5%. And, you know, to say that we, you know, thought short today, yeah. I mean, that's the short there. We had the short in Nike. These are just big trades today that have just continued to work, right? We only have the Intel long because we nailed it right there all the way to the upside. And this goes just to show you guys, like, if you take where the average fill is, and again, we don't show you the share size, but if you take the average fill, you know, our out's going to be probably somewhere around 23 out of all of this, right? And now you're down to 22.50. So that's where it's kind of like deciding on what you're doing with the trade and, you know, getting those, as Neil was saying, they're the consistent winners on board. And that's what we have, you know. I think we always talk about that. We always talk about the ratios, right? About, you know, you trade 10 stocks, you'd like to have, you know, 5 winners, 6 winners. That doesn't necessarily have to be true. You could have 1 winner, but that 1 out of 10 gives you all of that, right? And so, yeah, we just continues to watch this. We didn't have a huge position there. It was enough to get us obviously green on the day because this was a red stock early for us. We went short there, then we doubled the short and then got stopped out. It was a very small loss, but at the end of the day, that's what you're trying to do. Maximize your gains and minimize the losses, and I think we do a pretty good job of that right here as well. So it's 333 Robinhood. I mean, that was the long that I had today as well. 2 longs, both Robinhood, and these are going to be, you know, again, we talk. It doesn't. I'll just, you know, Robinhood's going to be a big P&L name for us here today. So we'll just leave it at that. There's the long there on Robinhood. TQs. Robinhood is only about 40% of what we made on the TQs, and then Intel's holding that level too. And then Palantir and Nike. Oh, we actually wound up making more money on Robinhood than on Nike, despite having that move. So yeah, just about where your bread is buttered. You know, try to make the best decisions you can, and hope that they'll work out for you. You know, when we start to look at the end of the day, your P&L, so on and so forth, right?
I want to just put something in the chat. I know we have a lot of fun people in the chat here.
Sure.
It's just someone said, Joseph's like, oh, really? That's the goal, maximize your gains, minimize your losses. I know that sounds overly simplistic, but you'd be surprised how many traders over the years, and I'm being dead serious about this, like when I was risk managing and sort of talking to traders about their plan, maybe they had a bad day, we'd go over it, where when you look at it, and they might say that, but if you looked at their decision making, I'm like, that was just, well, then how are you doing that in your decision making? Because a lot of times it would be like the setups that are not working, or the thing that's showing you it's not working, you're loading into. And the thing that is working the most, you're like, you don't even like it, and you're rushing to get away from it, or you're not taking it. And that's a problem. So it's like, what are you actually, you have to look at past what you think you're trying to do and what you're actually doing in your trading. And then to the other point that you were making about percentage, like how often you win or lose, we had a guy who for a year and a half, his bread and butter was halt trades. Whatever the craziest thing that was moving on the day, he traded it and he had a halt strategy. Well, do you think he was winning 70, 80% of the time? Absolutely not. But it was profitable for him, literally running like maybe 20%. Why? Because it was monster wins for obvious reasons, but he understood that, and he understood that was going to be his game. I couldn't stomach watching his trading, to be honest with you. But it worked for him for a while, and that was mostly because of the meme craziness. With only about 25 minutes to go, everybody, Apple is teetering on that 10%. You're not really falling apart yet underneath that bottom. It's trying to catch a bid. As I said, it's really respecting this trend line. I really hope we get a shot at it breaking to the downside. It's just this. It's just for posterity. There is a delete on the index that I'm probably taking that I'm going to be working into. But
Sure.
if I see that show up as a huge sell, PYCR, then I'm going to be all over it. But it's either that or going to be Apple in here. You're still trying to break that trend line. You're also at VWAP on Intel. I said that was the only other spot where I'd look for a bounce. Bottoming tail candle right now. Need to see some green holding on here, and then maybe we take one last shot at Intel. I think let's take care of some business. A great place to look.
Yeah, this is easy for me. No script required here, because eSignal is the trading platform, maybe I need a script, is the charting platform that I use and we all use here. It's the best in the business. It is reliable. It is completely customizable. You can log into 50 plus brokers with that, start trading on the eSignal platform as well. Absolutely awesome for data, for all of the exchanges. It's an entitlement-based program, so you could say, hey, I'd like to trade, the Nikkei tonight, and I'd like to look at quotes. So you quickly give them a shout, and boom, next thing you know, you are charting all of those symbols as well. And I think that that's very important, especially in these days and ages when we have the market just, moving all over the place. You want to have something that's reliable. These screeners are honestly like a savior for me.
They're a godsend.
Because without those, I use them, but at the end of the day, you still need to find your trades. They're just great guides for that, right? And they actually have hot lists, curated trade rates. Here's an example right here of what I'm using right now as well. I haven't looked at it too much today, but what it's going to do is give you different trading ideas, what's been popping off, what stocks are moving. So right now, Agnico, I guess, I don't know, that must be some sort of a warrant or something. So it's trying to tell me that Apple, AMD, Nvidia, Tesla, Soxel, all of these names are what's good right now. So yeah, we continue to look there. We continue to support the platform, and we hope that you do as well. These hot lists, you never know what names are going to pop up on here. Like there's IWM right now pushing through some volume. So again, really, really key. And I think that you should support them, not just because we do, but at the end of the day, you want the best information. You've now found the best trading show on the planet, and you might as well have the best tools in your toolbox to compete, right? And so that's what that is, man. No sleep, no worries for this guy, because today is an absolute monster day for us here. It sucks for the account. We've talked about that. But when you're short and you're trading and you're sitting in front of the desk like this, that's what we do. Whoops. I trade the TQs every single day. So come back. I know Joe does sometimes as well. And Obi recently has been trading them as well. So there'll be about two or three of us every day that will look there. So if you are someone that's looking at indexes, definitely come over here. Sometimes I'll slip into the SMH or something like that, but very rarely, especially with the success we've been having here on the NASDAQ. So, so far, so good, man. And what's up to Erie Pages and everybody else out there as well. Yeah, I feel like ever since we did Shave, man, we've been having crazy success. And Neil's talking about consistency. I mean, yeah, man, I would say that too. And it's great that, we talk about being consistent. I feel like I am super consistent as well. So I think that's the key, right? If both of us are talking about consistencies, that's what you want to be. It doesn't, how much we all make, again, completely different, right? It's just a matter of what are you happy with? Are you working towards something better? I mean, this is why we talked about Obi before. And it's like he actually admitted, and which is hard to do for many traders, that he was negative last month and working his way out of that. And I just think that's what it's about, being honest with yourself, putting up the numbers that matter to you. And, whether or not you slow down, you lower your shares, you do whatever. That's why this is honestly such a great job and just so fluid every single day. And you never know. GM right here coming up with some news here, talking about increasing production in Indiana now. So there we go, man. It's working, right? I mean, this is what they want. This is what they want. This is what Trump wants and the U.S., right? More production in the United States and tariffs, although people are going to not like paying higher prices. But if this is what we have to go through, then that's what we have to go through, of course. We are located in lovely Toronto, Ontario, Canada, the home of the best traders, other than everybody that's watching that's in the United States.
Yeah, shout out to our community. It's a fantastic one. There's only 10 minutes to the imbalances, and we haven't done the early look yet. At least I know I was trying to finish a thought there when you were showing it. There's nothing out there right now. I mean, nothing. AES, if that matters to you. BAC, maybe the banks move around a little bit here. 1.4 is nothing for BAC. There is only one expected index action that I saw, and it's a buyout delete. I'm going to short it. But right now, and the reason I was saying it's a godsend that the trade rate it's just something that I have observed. I like trend lines, been doing a lot of mean reversion stuff. The reality is, one of the things I've noticed, why mean reversion works is because something's making an extreme move. Well, the more extreme and more activity around it, the better chance you'll get a snapback in either direction. So if it's not up here on the trade rate when I'm looking for a reversion trade, I don't like it as much. So the fact that Apple's up here for obvious reasons matters. And it's about to go 10% down as the market continues to flush in here. So yikes, it's been a pretty nasty day overall. I'm looking at Amazon down 9%. Obviously, Apple's going to be a big one here for sure. And as Jameson said in the chat, oh, wow, you're so close. As Jameson said in the chat, Coca-Cola up. Rader talked about this. We mentioned it in the morning. The only bad news for Coke is it is technically a topping tail candle on the daily chart at a 52-week high, but that's where the strength has been. It's been in defensive names. Like you had Procter do pretty well, Coke and Pepsi, both distinctly different in a general sense from the overall market. It's a good day for Pepsi, not nearly as strong as Coke. Just an addendum here. Pepsi is actually breaking a downward trend potentially when people are getting defensive. I like that as a name to watch. I don't think it's better than Coke. That said, I think there might be a trade here if we continue this downward push in the overall market. With only 7 minutes to go, if Apple's going to do it, it's got to do it in the next couple of minutes because I don't want this trade out in front of the imbalances. So it just bounced in front of SSR. It refuses to go 10%, which would mean the trend break is the only thing I'm looking for at this point. Oh, wow. Yeah, I agree, Zami. Coke is better. I'm talking about the stock and the chart and the company and how they performed. The drink is obviously better, too, because they don't call it... Look, man, they don't call it rum and Pepsi. That's all I'm saying. It's definitely not rum and Pepsi. But I did mean in the general sense, just that the chart is better. I'm not passing judgment on how the company is run or anything like that. I leave that to other people, man. I'm not an analyst. I don't claim to be one. I try to have some knowledge about the things that I own, but overall, the chart speaks for itself between Coke and Pepsi. I just mean that Pepsi could be a good bounce play from here based on where it's coming from and the fact it's flattening out that 50-period moving average. But come on, Apple, give us one shot at that trend trade. And if you see me look, you're going to see me kind of go back and forth, like looking up every now and then. It's because I want to load it up in this thing that's being deleted today. I feel like there's no way it gets above here, so I might get into position and throw it into the auction on this bad boy. Oh, we always talk about patience and FOMO. Here, I'll give you an example of, here's a real-time example of why FOMO is a problem. I know that this particular trade is, I only want it in these 5 cents because you're risking 5 cents to try and make 5 to 10. So I know that, so why am I already trying to get in here? Because it tanked and I didn't have it. So you get FOMO and you short a bad price. And that's what everybody does. And it's a real-time thing. It's not going to move around. Most people wouldn't trade something like this, but everybody does it. Everybody gets FOMO. Everyone sees the move down. You're like, oh, I'm not all in. Let's just short it at a really dumb price. Well, instead, you should always wait for your perfect entry. I say it all the time, and I'm patiently waiting for Apple, but I get impatient too. Everyone's a human being out there. So Apple might give it to us. Say no to FOMO, Ari, you're absolutely right, for sure. This is in the chat, BTC going up, is there any news? It's not news. You know, what's really happening here, I think, is the market's trying to catch a bit of a bottom after all of that selling, 1. 2, Bitcoin never broke its major support if you go out, right? So Bitcoin held the low, so it's just staying inside the range without breaking down off the lows. So it's got relative strength, market trying to catch a bit off the lows, so it catches a bit of a bit. But that's not an extreme move, in my opinion, on Bitcoin. If anything, I call Bitcoin a nothing burger today. Being a nothing burger is a good thing today, but it's still a nothing burger for me on IBIT. That's why I look over at things like Mara or MSTR, where you're going to get a little bit more juice for your squeeze, I suppose. Maybe that's the best way to put it. Yeah, Mean Gene, there you go. I love the chat. Massive support for BTC at 81. All right, there's the tick. You just went SSR on Apple. So the trend breaks at 2022, or we regain this candle here, which is 201, I don't know, it's like 201.65. Although if it presses too far to the downside, then where you put the stop would be too low. But your SSR now on Apple, it's gone that 10% down. If it can break back out, that's the trade I'm looking for. I did say I wouldn't take it if it was right at 350. So there's maybe like 1 minute for this to get me in. You saw what happened to that PC? So that PC over there.
Yeah, it zoomed in. I just Brendan, like I can't, I don't know what to do over there, but we'll get that figured out.
Everything's blown up like 100, 200% on that PC.
Yeah, it's good. Okay, so just real quick, man, we're only in the futures right now, and we just got out of Intel. Intel, again, the dog that wags the tail that wags the dog, right there, nice move to the upside. It looks like we got short there, but we didn't. We had a higher offer, which I guess I can cancel right now. Yeah, so the only trade is the futures, and we already put a stop order in for this, and we actually can maybe fix it right now. I'm going to change it. We're going to get stopped out if it breaks 51. So again, monster trade here at the end of the day for us. I mean, it's the same trade. We had this at 9:30, so we'll hold this all day for this futures trade. And again, it's pretty easy to me to do that. Like we were saying, consistency is the key. And that's why I said to you guys in the chat, like, we appreciate all the support, but if you ever need to know anything, are we green, are we red on the day, anything like that, just ask us and let us prove to you the consistency that we have. You know, let us prove it to you, because there's a lot of people out there that will be like, yo, you know, these guys, I've seen it before. Like, people are saying, like, there's no way these guys are green or red or anything like that. And people talking smoke and mirrors, this and that. Just ask us. You know, we have no problem talking about that, because, again, you heard Obi talk about it, Joe, Sharif, Neil, myself. Like, this is what the game is, man. We've been here long enough to know that even if we are red on the day, we'll still come back tomorrow. We have the strategies in place. And, yeah, you could have red months. I mean, that doesn't mean anything. If your red month is double or triple, you know, what you normally make, then that's a problem. But if you are some sort of a risk manager, then you should be sort of good to go, as we always talk here on the show. So yeah, just trust us at our word and always ask. So all right, so there goes Palantir. Oh, the thing about it was I wanted to look here because we do have now 1.5 minutes left until the imbalances. So that's why we just put that stop in there. That's not why we put the stop in on the Qs, but that is kind of why, because we don't need this thing to rip up against us right there and we get stopped out, up here, 52, 53, whatever. If it comes all buys, which right now on New York, it's looking like it may come all buys. We actually showed you earlier today that it was all sells, which is probably why the market had that huge move up early, because again, once all of those sell imbalances, and we can zoom in here into the NASDAQ, they were all sell imbalances early. We showed them to you. Almost all of them were sells. What happens is those execute right away on the open. So once those are done, the buyers come in, maybe cover those sales, or they just try to get it going. We were not going to use the word luck, because it would be lucky if we weren't able to do this again. But we were very, very patient. We waited for that to come in, and we got it. And nowhere near a stop out there today for us. Our stop was 54, so I guess we were 20 cents away from it. But to take now 300, so we're in the money now, 350 cents on a 20-cent stop. So that's pretty crazy, especially on a day like today. I don't remember the last time we were here. Like when the last time the NASDAQ made this kind of a move. Okay, so let's
August 6th.
Oh yeah, I wasn't here.
That was the day you weren't here.
Yeah, but this day is
But
continued,
the difference is on August
have I just done
6th,
there?
we rallied from the open and never looked back.
Right.
That's the difference. That makes today distinctly different.
Oh,
That's
it's
what
not
was
even close
different
to
about
the same.
08. That's what was different about late 2021.
All right, so the imbalances are out, yeah.
Imbalances are out. It's BAC.
And we're tanking.
Apple is a buy of 2 million. Lucid, who cares about Lucid, but it's a buy. NVIDIA is a sell of 1.6 to the sell side for NVIDIA. That's about it. Alphabet, 1.1 million. That's a sell imbalance. Looks like Apple's the only buy imbalance on the Mag 7 names, right, of the big names there. Intel, 1.6 million to the sell side. Maybe people are taking profit. The paired volume and the fact that Intel's $22 makes that not that big of a deal. It's not huge imbalances, and Apple's already starting to pair off that buy. You're already seeing it start to go into the downside on AAPL. Yeah, not really good and doesn't really set you up. It's not a huge imbalance there for Apple. Not necessarily enough to make you want to go into the long, because I think that's going to pair off right quick at 355.
60.
So it stayed under the trend line. It never really set you up for that long, which is a good thing, because at no point until now does it work. I just don't like bounces at this time of day. I said I would not try this mean reversion trade with the imbalances lingering. So I'm going to follow my own rule when it comes to that.
All right, $50.60. We're just going to change this right now. So there it is. We'll get stopped out here for that win if we can do it. $51 right there. We're going to stop out at $50.60. We do have that imbalance coming out, so we're going to stop out of our TQQ position on that. And yeah, to answer that question about why I trade the TQs versus SQs, it's just so when I look down at my trades that I see red. So I'd rather go short than long. And yeah, they are exactly the same. So if you are one or the other, trade whatever you're more comfortable doing. It's just like when I'm long on Robinhood, my account goes green and it shows me longs. And then, so I just would rather do that. It's just a visual thing for me. Trading the SQQs, although they're getting closer and closer in price, we don't, as Neil had also mentioned, we don't pay any borrow fees here. So on the TQs, on certain names, obviously we do, as we talk about that all the time. But for right now, no. So there it is, man. That's why I decide to use the TQQs, and I'm sure that's a similar reason why Obi does as well. And I said Joe, but I think he trades more IBIT. I don't think he actually trades futures too much. But
he loves IBIT, and that's the thing. You stick to what you love, or what works for you, I think.
Yeah. More about what
actually, you don't stick to what you love in trading. I actually think the opposite. You stick to what works for you, because ultimately what you end up being good at in trading, or what patterns speak to you, nothing to do with Palantir. I just had that one up to see where it's closing. What patterns work for you, or whatever sort of speaks to your mind that allows you to make successful trades, that's where you got to be. Like, you can want to be a Forex trader, but if you don't make money trading Forex, find somewhere where you can actually find the patterns that work. Or, like I said, made sense. I was just eyeballing Palantir because I'm not taking that Apple trade. I said the reason why here. 2 NY cent, any earnings after the bell. it was just Guess, I believe. Guess is reporting. Kind of not the best day in the world for retail name to be reporting, but they are the only ones that are reporting after the bell. So good look there. Mean Gene, do you guys pool your wins and losses? Or are you all on your own for P&L? On a prop floor, everyone's trading for themselves. Like if you, let's say you were with Real Trading, you own a trading floor. Like we had our own trading floor at one point. And in that particular case, like if you own the floor and have traders, then you get a piece of what they make. If you're just a trader on a floor, you get a commission, and everyone has an individual commission as to what they make every single time. That's all it is. Beautiful gate. I have a sinking feeling that we might not close this gap down anytime soon. Yeah, I got a bit of a sinking feeling as well. I said that with kind of where I'm looking at the dip buys in the Mag 7, and they weren't all that close, and I think there's a reasonable shot they get there. Although the only bid I put in today was XLE. I just think energy.
Yeah, you like energy.
Well, it comes down to this, just very quick. We have 5 minutes to go here.
Sure.
Great bottom here on XLE at around 83. And then I don't know the old contract off by heart, so I'm just going to do it the easy way, which is find it alphabetically and then click on it, because I'll always mess it up if I try. You have oil futures, which are pretty much at the bottom of support, where it's been bouncing off 65, 66 every single time. So as long as we hold this, and I can pick up XLE off that low, I'm going to do it. If we break this low, I cancel the XLE bid. It's pretty simple. So that's the only order I put in my long-term account today, looking for a dip buy. And it wasn't anywhere near where we are.
No.
At all.
Yeah, no, XLE. I like energy in this space as well. I was just going to actually show you guys. Shout out to you, Stevenson. I mean, making $8,000, you would be the winner around here. That is for sure. So shout out to you, Stevenson. But yeah, right here. This is yesterday, and it's not even a big. I don't know. I thought the numbers would have been bigger yesterday here at Real Trading. This is from over 3,000 traders traded right now. What was that? Yeah, in a minute. All right, so here we go. Canada right now, TSX 11.2 right there. Amex yesterday, someone trading the SPY or gold, GLD, maybe NASDAQ as well. So as you can see, they're all right here. Big Amex numbers yesterday, so that's good. TSX and NASDAQ sort of finish it off. So, all right, yeah, that's enough for me. Only 4 minutes left.
Only 4 minutes to go, but shout out to Trade the Pool, because we all know the saying, big opportunity comes with big risk. What if it wasn't true anymore, everybody? Trade the Pool is redefining what risk means for traders. No more risking your life savings to prove yourself in the market. They give you access to company capital, up to $200,000 to trade real stocks, no CFDs, and your downside is limited to a single one-time fee that starts at just $47. That means no blowing up your personal account. You get to trade with serious buying power, all while knowing your loss is capped. Trade the Pool now offers unlimited time during the evaluation, and you get to enjoy the freedom to trade your way with no time pressure. Visit tradethepool.com and see how far your $47 can take you. Shout out to Trade the Pool. With only about 3 minutes to go here, get out of here, CL contract.
Yeah.
Only about 4 minutes to go here. I just realized I'm still looking at oil futures, which I care about too much. Although, hey, if you're good at trading futures, trade the futures.
Yes.
Remember when I said,
yes.
Well, I have a rule about not taking a mean reversion trade on the imbalances, because I feel like you're a flip of the coin on what the imbalances do. Well, the mean reversion would have worked on Apple. Doesn't necessarily mean I'll reevaluate the rule, but I have to be able to make that note and understand that, hey, that still would have worked out despite the fact that there was not even that much time left in the day. Apple did get short sell restricted. It will be SSR tomorrow. That does make it enticing for a bounce play in tomorrow's trade. It's also holding $200, which is a round number for Apple. On top of that, the August low, and if you were here that day, I can tell you this was in the 190s on that August low. I sent one order at the open live, and it was a breakout long at 200, and I got no fill. There was no liquidity on the upside when it regained that $200, so that's a big, big level for Apple. Ideally, we can bounce off it. I hate to say it, but most of all the best trades were all shorts today, with the exception of Intel. To the long side, I had like 2 longs, and they are what they are. But all the Palantir, whatever the futures, like all of it was all shorts today. And unfortunately, it's a bad time for guests to come out with their earnings. But you know what? It's going to be a fun aftermarket show. You guys will be chilling out on the desk while guests will be on the couch. Maybe we'll see. I didn't get a chance to see that last time.
Yeah. He's a great guy there. We'll have some fun with him. And actually, the number 2 P&L name, I didn't check on the midday show, but no. I know OB. I don't know if his Walmart was long or short, but right there, I think it was long. So actually, the 2 of the top 3 names today were long, Walmart and Robinhood. So as Neil was saying, man, you never know what stocks or what direction are going to go. So it was Robinhood and Walmart, 2 of the top 3 names long. And then, of course, the TQs will take it for the short. As we're getting close right now, there's only 1 minute left. I'll just sit here. I mean, I'm not going to rush over to the desk at any times or anything like that, but $50.40. We are at the day's low right now for the NASDAQ, which really does suck, man, being down 5%. What a day. I do expect a bounce back day for the NASDAQ tomorrow, but doesn't make a trend. So we'll let it go up. Hopefully we can go up 1%, 2%, 3% tomorrow. That's very wishful thinking, but that has happened as sometimes you get some retracement moves back in. All right, there we go, man. Coming right back into the low of the day. The low of the day is 24s. Your boy just got 22s right there. So that's it, man. I don't know, Neil, if there's going to be ever a better look than this trade right here from today. There it is. There's the top of the day on the NASDAQ, Mr. Roberts, and the bottom of the day on the NASDAQ. So there it goes, man. That's a monster right there. Top of the day on NASDAQ, bottom of the day right there. Almost NFT worthy, but we don't trade NFTs around here.
Well, no, but I'm telling you, if they were available to, and you could trade it to like stocks, like Trade the Pool lets you do it with your sports betting, then we obviously would. As long as there's a pattern, you got to be able to take it. There's nothing better than top to bottom. It's happened a couple of times. Oops, countdown. This is what I mean about the automated countdown timer. Brought to you by Worksport. This closing bell, WKSP on the NASDAQ. Ring it now, Adara, because it's 4 o'clock. You know, I said 3 days in a row now. I'm telling you, you're in the moment, having that discussion. I know this. You guys can see the clock on the screen there. It could be automated. Is there already one automated? So why am I hitting the button then? Because it's just a force of habit then, I guess, why I hit the button. All right, fine, fair enough. Look, obviously the market got rugged a little bit today. We have seen this story before. What makes it different is, like I said, on August, we bounced all day. This happens to be Apple, but it doesn't matter. Apple is a very good proxy for the market, so this chart works just fine. We bounced that day, we continued bouncing. What happened the next day? It was a bit of a red day, then a huge continuation the other way. Today, we did not bounce. The inverse of what happened last time in August would be for us to get a bounce day green and then continue trend down. I like to think that history doesn't always repeat itself, but it often rhymes. And the easiest predictor is what happened the last time and observe your patterns and just try to stick with that. There's only one earnings name, like we were saying, that's going to be Guess. Okay, good. It is GES, because I didn't know that one off the top of my head. Yeah. It is Guess. They're obviously not. Are they? Oh, no, they're down 11% because they're retail today. Yep. So down 11% because they're retail. Nothing really happening on it just yet. Not sure exactly what time they are going to report. Always got to give a big shout out. Obviously, it's a busy day when you have this much volume and volatility. That goes without saying. So shout out to Fabian and Ramin on the 1s and 2s. Fantastic job by our midday crew. Can't say enough. I mean, we'll be filling in pretty much the entirety of the week, I think, for Sharif on the desk there with Joe, and they always do a great job together. Want to give a big shout out to Adara, bringing you news, which matters so much in this market. Your headline to headline, whether it's the Intel headline, whether it's Trump last night, giving you the real-time information all day long. So a big shout out there, of course, for all of that. Look, at the end of the day, everybody, it's never fun to watch your account head to the downside. That's true. That said, you always remember in the long term, the markets tend to go up. And in trading, you can go either direction. If you can only go long, there's a reverse ETF that you can trade on the other side. The trend is your friend. Have a plan of action. Follow your plan of action. Try not to get too much FOMO because there are going to be big moves out there. No questions asked. But hey, everyone, sit back, relax. You know the market recap, the ProfitX market recap show is coming. You're going to have Sean, Adara, special guests going over all of the crazy moves today and including some guest earnings, which I'm going to guess might not be good. It's retail and they bled today. Market recap show starts right about now.
All right, Amin just put me in my place. This show is brought to you by Profit X. This is your recap show. Thank you so much. And I want to thank everybody for staying with us because traders stay late. We coined that a while ago. I can't believe I used to do this by myself. And now we have Adara here and we have Neil filling in every other day as well. So we want to thank everybody for joining us. I see you got the green nails. Was it yesterday you had blue on or no?
They're mini egg colored. You
Oh,
guys know, like the
mini
Cadbury
eggs.
So the nails are that. So you've got mostly green because I prefer green, but you've got a pink nail like the, and then you've got the blue and the yellow. So that's why you might have seen blue.
I'm trying to stay away from some mini eggs, but did you see that when we had ICE here, Intercontinental Exchange, the owners of the NYSE, all those, do you know they own the NYSE?
I did not know that.
Yeah, big time.
He brought
big time players there. Yeah, he went to Tim Hortons and he had all those mini egg donuts, but very unique. I like that.
you.
I was thinking yesterday, I saw someone with these crazy blue nails. I thought it was you, but it wasn't, so
No, I guess
maybe
not.
someone else. Okay, look, what a wild thoughts. Adair and I were just singing this today. I don't know, this is not the right trade ideas layout, but we'll just go over it anyways. The Jets ETF obviously down today. Everything down. I mean, it was really bad in the NASDAQ. We were pretty sad about this today with the Invesco's only down 5%. Like, that's a huge move for the NASDAQ. Again, this is the NASDAQ 100, so they hit downside today. As we reel from tariffs, right? We've called it liquidation day. Today, it exactly was that. I hope you didn't get liquidated because you should have sort of anticipated some of this from happening or to happen. I feel like there was a tale of two sides there because it could have also gone the other way with many of these tariffs baked in. The problem is, as you mentioned, Adara, he had that placard out yesterday and like he's tariffing countries with penguins. He's tariffing every single country around minimum 10%. I don't know if we thought that was going to be across the board and then minimum 10%, and then it's half of whatever the maximum tariff. And he also included in there, I saw, currency manipulation. So, like some of those aren't even tariff levels, but at the end of the day, it's like I hear Trump talk about dairy, and this is where I think that there's going to be a change of the guard a little bit here where we'll start to think maybe a little more positively moving forward because the dairy tariffs, for example, from Canada are only met if there's a certain level of production and, back and forth importing and exporting. That hasn't been met in a long time. So those tariffs actually don't even kick into those levels. It's only once a certain level has been met. So I think as we start to get back and forth with all of that, and especially as we get settled down here with our election coming on April 28th, get ready for, it looks like it's going to be another liberal government. So Mark Carney already talking with Donald Trump, has been doing that for a while. Let's see if we can get back and forth there. Not that they had a meeting today or anything, Adara.
No.
I actually didn't hear anything. I know Vietnam yesterday sort of right away once they saw their 54% tariff or whatever it was like, we'll start to talk. And I think that more and more people will come to the forefront there, sit down, get those talks, check out the events, the economic calendar every single day for Fed speak, for Trump, and then obviously as Adara comes, like you never know who's going to visit. We wait for more and more visits. I think the big one's obviously going to be what's going on with China and how all of that pans out because today, Adara, let's just go over here immediately. I don't even really want to look too much at anything other than what this board looks like right here.
Oh. Big
yeah, we'll do some calculations here as well because as you look at this board right now, you say, well, Christmas is still a while away. Do we like red and green? I like a little more dispersion. I'd rather have half red, half green, something like that, so there's enough for everybody to be happy with. But now today, we have the big nasty right there. Whoa, what's going on there? Is that you doing that, Fabian? Oh, I thought it was fading. Well, why does it keep fading red like that? All right, I don't know.
Are you pressing on it?
I'm not doing anything, so that's why I was wondering what was going on. Oh, it is Fabian. Okay, it was Fabian. Okay. Yeah, we're not doing green today, my guy. Let's get off of that. So what I was trying to show you here was just sort of the destruction that had happened in some of these names. Microsoft down 2.3%. Actually, hallelujah, maybe that's the one to buy as Microsoft not even down that much right there. Maybe catching some Intel wind. I don't know if they'd have anything to do with that. NVIDIA 7.77. Good thing it's not 666 or we'd start that all over again. Broadcom getting kicked today, down 10%. Apple down 9 and a bit. How do I get rid of this thing here? If I right click, no. Okay, Amazon down 9%, Tesla down 5%, Google, Meta, I think Meta should probably be bought at some point, down 9% as well. Where was there some strength? J&J 3%. J&J had that horrible day yesterday, so a nice little bounce back for J&J. UNH as well, down 3.4%. This heat map is not that good. How do I get rid of this? Like that, how about? Oh, that just did that. Oh, okay. All right, see ya. Right there. I'm going to prefer this one right here, as this is the one that we normally do come out with. Consumer non-durables. We did talk a little bit about this with Rader Trader before as well. Looks like this will be one of the only sectors that worth look at today. Of course, we got Lulu in there and Nike, but Procter & Gamble. Some of these stocks that, again, are not really tech related. They obviously have import and export issues, but they've sort of pre-dealt with this. What's up? We want to do that. Okay. There we go. So thanks, Fabian. Make it a little bit easier to see there. Hershey. Oh, I like that. That's actually their symbol? No. The Hershey Kiss? Okay, that's pretty cool. General Mills today as well. We will wait for guests. So thank you, everybody, for joining us right now. 5,000 of you are still with us as we break down some of the sectors. So there it was right there. Consumer non-durables actually doing okay today. Communications, we did have a little talk about that. Looks like Verizon and T-Mobile will lead the day on the comm sector. I did like Netflix there. We'll bring over trade ideas back into the fold here. We talked about this with Rader Trader again. If you're looking for some strength, but you still want to be in the tech names, what about Netflix right now? Nowhere near the 200 period moving average. And again, subscriptions. I actually saw, the wife and I started watching a little bit about White Lotus. We actually got through the latest season. I know that's HBO or Max.
Is it done now, the new season?
No, I don't want to give it away, but...
Well, I'm not asking like for spoilers. I'm just asking if it's still airing right now.
I believe there are, I don't know if there's 8 episodes normally.
Usually it's like
6 or 7.
7 or 6, I think.
Yeah, so there was no dramatic ending in the last episode, which is what I was trying to
So
give
it's not
away.
over.
Yeah, so my opinion is not over yet. Netflix continues to work out, you know, change since January 1st, Adara, up 3%. So I don't know if that's including today's number, but if it is, we are still up 3% right there on Netflix year to date. So since January 1st, so year to date, yes. So Netflix, I believe, is a winner. What else won today? UNG, of course, gas, so that's natural gas. We did see a big move down in I mean, that's just one stock. XLE, if we're gonna actually talk about energy, they were crushed today, down 8%. And I'm gonna say this might be the worst day. I don't know. This was also a very bad day, very, very bad day for XLE as well. But that was a nasty move down there for energy and XLE. We could also check out USO, United States Oil, down another 7% today, as well as nothing safe. The more and more we talk about the tariffs, the more and more we get worried about oil. We get worried about gold. Because again, if we go into a recession or there is a slowdown, generally speaking, you're going to get hit on USO. Oil is going to go to the downside, again, because there's going to be less global production. And when there's less global production, many things made with plastic right now, which of course requires oil. All this machinery, unless you're running a Tesla plant, all this machinery, and even then, using energy. So get ready for that. And oil, gas.
What the hell is even that?
What was that? Thank you, Fabian, for that. But yeah, Tesla, talk about Tesla. Is Guess out yet?
They're not out, but they released, I guess, a couple headlines here. This was this morning, but it's worth, I guess, for context here. Apparently, they announced that they have this special committee of the board of directors forming to review and evaluate their non-binding proposal to acquire from another company to acquire Guess for $13 per share. So apparently, they have received a non-binding proposal from a company to acquire them. Coming from GES, that's on watch, but we don't have earnings yet. I just saw the thing and I thought it came out just now, but it came out this morning. Regardless, I guess Guess could be on watch for an acquisition opportunity there. Just wanted to bring that up. We don't have the numbers though.
Yeah, futures trader, just join me tomorrow and I will discuss this. So what's up to futures trading here is asking me. It's better if you tag me, by the way, which doesn't really matter, but that would be better because I'd be able to see it. Where do you guys get the information that says size, side, all of that. I assume that you're talking about our level 2s that we have here at Real Trading. So make sure you do join us at Real Trading. If you're interested, go, oh, that's Trade the Pool right there. But make sure you do also, I want to thank one more time, we don't do it enough on this show, ProfitX. Thank you to ProfitX for sponsoring this market recap show. Make sure you go into the link in description, click on that. It gives you 2% back for your sports betting needs, I guess. But yeah, so that's guess there. So we'll wait to see, again, Adara, not really moving around once we get anything on that for as far as the number is concerned. We do have the Benzinga Pro platform, so I want to give them a shout out as well. So we'll read the news as it comes through on here as well. You know what? I mean, what went up today? Kind of funny because Big Bear AI, people were yelling at me, hey, did you see Big Bear AI? It's actually still down. So we were looking at it earlier on in the day, but this has been a move that's to the downside. We look at names like Palantir. Palantir, very aggressive when the market goes up, very aggressive when the market goes down. I would think you can be the same similar things for Big Bear AI as we look for AI names that have to do with big data. And again, these guys do have a Department of Defense contract as well, big into the airport security and whatnot. I think Big Bear AI can work off of these levels, but they've had a better day than today. Still down 3% there, and it's been absolutely crushed. It's not the right time to go into stocks that don't make too much money, and Big Bear AI would be one of those. As you can see, earnings per share minus 43 cents. So stay away from that one. The big dog today, minus 777. You believe in any of that stuff?
I don't know. I find, like, in what regard?
Well, like 7 is a unlucky number in the Chinese culture, I believe.
I mean, it's, you know, it's not, obviously it's not, I don't want to knock anybody's beliefs, right? If you
No, do
believe
you believe?
No, personally, no. But with regards to 7, 7, or 8, I do have a thing with the number 11. So 11 is my
there we
lucky
go.
number. So I will literally take profit or sell or try to get involved in a stock if I can here, like 11, 20, well, I'll use 21s because 21's average, but 33s, 44s, right? So that, in that way, I am superstitious. 11 is my lucky number.
There you go.
So I like to use multiples of 11. So I guess I'm okay with 77.
That's what I was going to say. Like for example, if a stock was up 11.11%.
Oh, I would be like.
Right, that might trigger something,
that
right?
makes sense. That's interesting.
All right. There it is. Yeah, 7 is lucky in casinos as well.
Really?
Hot hands at a dice game.
Oh, yeah, the 777 logo you always see on, like, casino things.
Have you ever won anything at a casino?
I've never been to a casino.
What?
Yeah.
Okay, so when I was, I went to Vegas with my parents. I don't know what the heck they were doing.
I was going to say, what?
Yeah, this was a long time ago. Like, I think my dad was going there for work and then just brought us. So we stayed at the Flamingo. It was a great time back then on the Strip. And I remember, I think I was maybe like 11 or 12 years old. Anyways, long story short, my brother and I, we were gambling. And I actually, not allowed to do it, obviously. My parents were.
You're not minding.
Yeah, I was just like slipping in $1 or a quarter or whatever. I pulled the thing and won. And I think I wound up winning like maybe $50 or $25. And I was like, what the hell? I knew I wasn't allowed to win, right? So I was like, yo, to my brother, I said, yo, go get like mom and dad, we'll just take this money. And like, what? It wasn't even, to me, probably 50.
That's amazing.
I don't remember what it was exactly, but it was probably.
We got guess earnings too, sorry.
That's okay. Tapping right on my shoulder was the casino security guy.
Didn't even get to
and
win.
was like, excuse me, like, you're clearly not 21.
Yeah.
You know, and then my parents were there, and needless to say, I did not gamble anymore on that trip. So fun times. I suggest you go, man. Casino Niagara.
Yeah. Oh, my sister and I.
It's a lot of fun.
We just like literally planned a trip to Niagara, and we were talking about going to a casino. So like, I would like to go. You know.
The only thing is, it's like you got to have a stop loss.
Yeah, I was thinking that too. I'm like, I'm going to be very careful. I am not risk averse except for in the markets.
Right.
Or, I mean, I'm not. I am risk averse except for in the markets.
Right. I feel like there's not going to be a problem for you, for sure.
Think so.
But like, you know, just for advice for everybody, and people don't need this. If you're a gambler, you're a gambler. It's like, leave your credit card in your room, you know, or your debit card, and just roll down there with $500 or something. Like something that you're happy with losing, and that way when you do lose eventually, as many people do, casinos were not built off of winning bets, let's put it that way. And nor was the stock market. Now, I don't know if you saw today, NDAQ, NASDAQ, actually, they were down today. The CME, I'll have to find out what was going on with them. But
we have the guest numbers, though, because they're.
Oh, you want to go for the guest numbers?
Yeah,
okay. We do have Steve on board in just a couple seconds, so I will be coming to you, Mr. Steve, in just a second. But let's go over the guest numbers real quick.
Yeah, revenue up 5% here year over year. Sales of $932.25 million versus $907.75 expected. Hardy beat adjusted earnings of $1.48 versus $1.38 expected. Also a beat. So great look here for GES to the upside. I guess people like that very strong report.
Yes.
I can borrow your pun from earlier.
Right, I did see that. Yeah, it's a good. That was a good guess right there. If you went long, but at the end of the day, if we do zoom in, this is where guess is right now. So here's where we opened the day. We did make a move all the way down to 10, and we almost get back to where we were at the beginning of the day. My guess. Now I'm going to keep saying it. Like I didn't even mean to say it there, but my guess would be that this fails. Oh, that's it, Fabian. Get those crickets out of here because it's Trader Talk. Let's bring him in. All righty, Steve, how are you doing on this liquidation Thursday?
I'm doing all right, Sean. It's a beautiful day outside, a little less so in the markets, but you know, we trade what we see, right?
I don't think it's Thielman. Am I pronouncing that correctly?
Tileman, thank you.
Tileman, perfect, good. Steve Tileman there, analyst again from Trade the Pool. So we want to thank you for coming through again here. And we've been talking about Trade the Pool all day. And great to have you on, Steve Gomez earlier as well. You have any interest in guess here, or is that not something that you trade off earnings?
I'm sorry, on what?
Guess, GES, which has just had earnings right now. That's probably not even on your radar by the sounds of it.
Not on my radar. I didn't know that was a ticker, to be completely honest with you. I'm not a big earnings trader. I usually wait for the move to settle a little bit, but it looks like quite a move there. Good
all right. Yeah, no, yeah. It's kind of not huge. But yeah, okay. Let's move on to something else right now. Look, last time you were on here, Steve, last week, we, of course, were just thinking about tariffs. And then yesterday, we get them. And I guess the market thinks they were a little worse than expected. Is this move something that you had sort of thought was going to happen? Was it a little more dramatic, potentially, than you had thought in the NASDAQ being down over 5% today?
There's a lot to talk about here. So
Sure.
The first thing I'd like to mention is, I mean, we had the Liberation Day yesterday, turned into Liquidation Day. Seems like now we're getting a Libation Day, probably a lot of drinking going on.
Yes, sir.
I don't think anybody was expecting this severe of a reaction, to be completely honest with you. These numbers seem like worse than worst case. They're incredibly heavy-handed, and I think the market is responding to that. I'll be completely honest. I think we are underreacting to them. I was expecting them to down today.
Okay, so you're thinking that we were going to go down. I mean, I had saw that there was potential limit down action there. If the market ever goes down 7%, we have a 15-minute halt, then a reset. And we didn't get too far away from that. The SPY down 5%. Really, okay, so we have a little island candle forming here. So if I'm going to guess what you're thinking, you think we can go lower. Do we see this August low? Where as an analyst, where do you think we start to step in here? Or do we? Do we let the market settle down? Is there what we say sort of lower bids waiting? And if there are, is there any sort of stock or index or ETF that maybe you're looking to pick up at a certain level that we can sort of advise some of our viewers?
Absolutely. So a few things I'd like to mention. First, you read my mind. That August low is definitely on my radar. That was the last kind of true capitulation event we had with the yen carry trade unwind. I think that is a very notable level to watch. One minor level in between, we have a little gap to fill at about 536, I believe. So I'm keeping an eye on there to see if the price action changes up there. But my base case is that we're going to sweep those lows. In terms of tariffs, I do not expect them to stick, but I do expect them to take longer than the market is anticipating in terms of correction. So I think that we do have more downside. We mentioned last week that we could see volatility crush, and it's hard to bet against that. So I'll be completely honest. I was not hedged as much as I wanted to be. When I heard that news come out, I did size up considerably. So it's been a good day for me, but
nice.
It's never good seeing your friends get hurt in the market. So yeah, we're watching that low for sure.
Yeah, no, we have to bandage ourselves up in the long-term account, man. We are wounded warriors. If you look at your long-term account, that is for sure. The SMH, of course, many of us know that as the VanEck Semiconductor Index. I don't know, man, Steve. This has been down now pretty aggressively in the last 20 days, down 15%, and we keep on going, let alone a levered name like SOXL. What, Steve? Down 30% today is SOX. That is an $11 name, Steve. Back in June, this was $71 at the height of the market right there, in the height of the semiconductor names, including AMD. I mean, AMD, another name that's just been beat up. If we go back to these levels as well, $224 down to $91. Any comment by you on some of these levered products? Are they something that you ever trade? You talked about maybe sizing up, but do you ever flip over and on aggressive days like this, look at either a TQQ, which I trade almost like it's the number one thing I look at these days is the NASDAQ triple levered ETF. Do you look at any of these? And if so, do you have a favorite?
Oh, absolutely. I'm so glad you mentioned it. So SOXS was my my vehicle of choice to trade the downside. I got in about 568 or so, on SPY. And man, what a move, right?
Yeah.
It's really crazy. The move looks egregious on the SOXL until you pull out and look at SMH from like a weekly chart, and you'll see we're just breaking down through this whole topping range here. I believe we're getting confirmation of a stage 4 markdown. You have the stage 1 accumulation, stage 2, move up with that aggressive move all the way to the top. Then we have quite a clear topping pattern in my mind, and it seems like we're getting confirmation that this is going significantly lower. So I love that you mentioned SMH. I also want to mention the IGV and SMH ratio chart. That is software ETF over the essentially hardware ETF with semiconductors. And what we're seeing there.
What was that symbol? Sorry, Steve. Sorry, what was that symbol? I missed it. I never.
Oh, IGV.
Oh, IGV. I've actually never even looked at this. So go ahead. I just want to call it up on the chart. Sorry to interrupt. Yeah, go ahead.
Absolutely. So when you look at a ratio chart, you'll see that it's finally breaking out from a 10-year downtrend. I might be a little off there, but a massively long downtrend. And I think that what we're seeing there is basically tariffs are going to affect hardware a lot more than software, right? So that's kind of the theme I'm playing, and that's why I'm heavily short, via SOXS. And it's been really working for me, so I'm sticking with it.
Thank you so much for being here again with us, Steve. I've been asking everybody this question this week on the recap show. We had a lot of massive IPOs coming through. I mean, last week we had Coreweave, but probably bigger this week we had NMAX, which had that massive rally and gave it all back. We also had WTF. So are these type of moves that you trade or look at? What would be your approach to this type of play?
It's tricky. I wouldn't consider myself an IPO trader. I often think they are kind of liquidity events for private investors to kind of get out and let the market sort itself out. So often I find the best time to trade them is quite a while after the IPO. But when you have crazy moves like this, it's so hard to resist, right? It's really hard to not pull the trigger. I unfortunately missed both Newsmax and Coreweave, but man, Coreweave in particular is surprising me. It's holding up pretty well. Although I didn't check on it the second half of today, so maybe that's changing, but
let me do it for you. CRWV Coreweave, because we had a great trade yesterday, or it was a couple days ago when we broke 50 for the first time, and that mooned up there into 60s. But yeah, to your point right there, Coreweave has actually done pretty well from IPO. It looks like right now we could probably support that $50 mark, down 14% today, but well done. And I was thinking, I know you don't trade IPOs as a favorite of yours, but again, the underwriters part of this, Steve, like you got JP Morgan, Morgan Stanley, BlackRock, like all big time underwriters involved here with Coreweave. So I do think that does have a chance to go. It reminds me of ARM. Wow, today bad, but ARM again, as you know, based out for a very, very long time before eventually there's its IPO, basing, ripping, coming. Wow, okay. Actually, you know what, Steve? The more we zoom out here, so thanks for talking about that on the IGV and whatnot. You can definitely see there is actually more room to go to the downside in many of these names. So potentially you've nailed that one. There is some more downside to come over here. One thing I want to talk to you about, if we're going to go big time, and again, you're new to the show, and I want to thank you for coming through again. Steve Heilman from Trade the Pool. This gold. on the weekly chart. Wow, what a breakout. And I'm not sure there's anything that's looking like this right now on a weekly chart. And if I'm wrong, let me know. But gold right now is starting to break out. If we put this into the daily chart, though, maybe we've just seen, and again, like, I don't know, is that a little doji star up there that I see in and around 290, maybe fading back out? Any opinions on GLD or gold in general?
Yeah, I think it's really interesting. I think there's a lot of macro factors that are leading to this crazy move. But you're right, there's nothing like it in the market, and I think that's definitely been informing my overall bearish bias. I mean, flights to safety are never a good thing for risk-on stocks. So today's price action is interesting. I think that it was a clear gap down. I'm wondering if there might be some mechanical components where funds are getting liquidated in their tech longs, and they have to kind of sell off some of their gold positions. Whoa. But it got snapped up so quickly, so it's hard to be too bearish.
You know what, man? If you like gold, what about silver today, Steve? Silver actually down 6% and gapping below the 50 period. Yeah, I heard you just say, ooh, there. This is actually looking pretty good. Maybe if we can get into 28, which could happen tomorrow, bang it off that 200 period. And again, it's just, I don't really want to go long anything, but this has been relatively strong. And sometimes you'll get rare pullbacks like this. The 200 period has been supported since last year when we first broke it. So we did have a little dip down there at the beginning of the year, but then silver has worked as well. That must look interesting to you as well on that gap down. You like 200 period moving averages?
Oh, I do. I do. I'm all about them. So what I would say with silver, gold's crazy brother there. Yeah. I think that oftentimes, when one trade is working, they'll really press that, and it may be coming at the expense of the other kind of pair in there. So for me personally, I'll be watching that 200 closely, but I'm not ready to pull the trigger. There are a few things that I did pull the trigger on today, though, if you'd like to talk about them real quick.
Yeah, sure. I was just going to talk about Bitcoin, but I like to talk about whatever you want to talk about much more than that. So, all right, let's go. I'll call them up. And just for next time, it doesn't matter. We can always share charts. So we can figure that out next time as well if you want to share your screen. But why don't you go ahead and I'll call them up here as you start to talk. So what did Steve dip his toes into today?
So Steve is interested in emerging markets that can benefit in these really hectic tariff climates. I think that one of the biggest benefactors is going to be South American names. In particular, Brazil is looking really good to me. I think I mentioned it briefly last week. So they only got a flat 10% tariffs, and I'm seeing a lot of inflows there. So EWZ, perfect. Yeah, looks like it might have taken a little bloody nose into close, but it was really strong at some point today. So I took a nibble there. I also, this is more speculative, but I did take a nibble of yin too. We were talking about those 3x levered names. So China as well. I'm banking on some sort of policy to kind of counteract these tariffs.
Yep.
I'm seeing relative strength in names like Baba. So I'm keeping an eye on those for sure. I think the overall trend is going to be outflows in US equities and inflows in emerging markets.
I actually don't mind that at all because, I think that China is going to be something that gets discussed. And I think that's where eventually I think Trump and the administration can really sort of, I guess, puff their chests out if they can get a deal with China that tries to benefit both parties. I think that would look great. And I think you're right. I mean, especially when we talk about DeepSeek with something like Alibaba, if costs are going to be, we saw Meta rip up when they started announcing the year of the efficiency. Well, what if some of these, again, hyperscalers start to come back a little bit because they see the success that you can have with a DeepSeek and with some of these Chinese factions over there as well. So I do like that yin call as well. All right. So that's what you're into. Now, there it is. I haven't lost it. We're right back into it. I'm not going to let you go. I can't remember last week if we talked about Bitcoin at all. Maybe it's not something that you look at, and if it's not, that's completely fine as well. But I've always been of the belief that Bitcoin does follow the NASDAQ, although it's not going to be exact. When you have bad feels in the tech space, and we definitely have that right now, Bitcoin's not going to be something that people are going to run to start to scoop up. So for me, I'm actually thinking that eventually, and it may drip down here in the next week or so, I believe we get to this key level where we're going to have to make some decisions, especially if you're a longer term holder there. 72,000 or so. That top's been really respected. That's sort of that bump there from, I don't know if it's been respected, it hasn't actually been tested. That was the bump there from election. Many stocks, as we've just indicated as well, are back down near, stocks are even below that August low. But do you think we retrace back into sort of that election area of 76, 75,000 on Bitcoin? There's the level I was talking about, Steve. We actually did it back early March where we bounced off 75. You think we're heading down there, or is that it for Bitcoin, and or maybe you don't cover it at all?
No, you read my mind. I'm definitely a big fan of watching Bitcoin. I traded some as well, caught the move up and felt good about it. I'm not sure. I do think that there's a lot of potential to retest those highs. It's kind of been bouncing around in purgatory, but this today's fake move up and rejection the past couple days, I think it's really telling, and I think we gotta respect that. When risk is off, it'll show in Bitcoin.
Steve, I really like the yin and the yang that we have, because you're very calm, you're very collected and everything. And I don't know if you've seen me trade or not, but we get very excited, and we are very excited to have you here from Trade the Pool. So thank you so much once again for joining us, Steve Teilman from Trade the Pool. And again, we would love to continue to have you on. So how does next Thursday sound?
Next Thursday sounds great. And if you don't mind, I'd just like to really quick say I'm doing a webinar over with Trade the Pool on their website, or I'm sorry, on their YouTube channel. So feel free to come on over. Anybody who'd like to learn about Bulkowski patterns. We're going to be talking about my top 5 favorites. And I think it's really good timing with the market, how it is.
Yeah, no, 100%. We want to make sure that everybody does check out Trade the Pool. Go over to their YouTube page, Twitter page. We do have the QR code in our description, and it's always on the screen. So if anybody needs more information there it is right here. So there it is, Trade the Pool. Go find everything you need to know about that. Mitch, everybody that's over there with Trade the Pool. So once again, Steve, thank you so much for coming through today. Have a great evening. I got to get home because my kids want to watch the new Minecraft movie. So we've got the 3D, we've got everything ready to go. We're ready to spend some money on the popcorn tonight. So maybe we'll trade some AMC tomorrow. Thank you, Steve, and have a great evening, and we'll see you next week.
Thanks so much.
There it is. We did it again, Adara, and we got to get out of here. But we want to say a big thank you to Steve there. Very good information, and make sure you do follow Trade the Pool. Go get them on YouTube. That gentleman is doing a webinar. So there it is. Thank you so much, Vincent. Hey, that's such kind words right there. Sean does these interviews like a pro. I mean, we've never really been trained on how to do anything like that. We just do it all natural. We got to say what's up to everybody. So we're going to say it's roll call time right now. Thank you so much, Vincent. We shout you out there for sure. Monty G, thank you so much. Yeah, we just try to do everything a little bit, off the cuff here, obviously. What's up to Steve again? Thank you so much for that. Dale, Royal Dixon, Bears. Hey, we can't do anything without Bears versus Bulls. Look at this guy. He's already got the Trade the Pool YouTube link on here.
Amazing.
So Bears versus Bulls, you don't need to do that, man, but thank you so much for doing that. Obviously, we cannot say thank you enough to you. Brown Lightning is here. It's always a little scary if you look up and see Brown Lightning, but we want to say thank you. It was lightning yesterday, actually. It was crazy. We had a crazy storm here yesterday, and today, I can see clearly now the rain has gone. Yeah, exactly. So also karaoke time here at Trader TV Live. So Adara, thank you so much for all the work you've done. That's your roll call for the day. And Adara, so we always have something fun that we do at the end of every show, you and I.
Yes, we do.
So today, this is your choice of movie treats.
Oh,
so let's go. We go like this.
Okay.
And then what is now in?
It's gonna be popcorn with like you know how you have like the powder on it, like
yes.
flavor powder.
What flavor?
Salt and vinegar.
Salt. Do they still do those little pouches?
So I go to I'm gonna sound really pretentious here. I go to the Toronto International Film Festival Theater a lot, and so they do still do the packets, and I get a discount because I'm a member. I'm sure that theaters still do them. I know Colonel still does them. And really quickly before we end too, Donald Trump just said that Elon Musk might leave the administration in quote months. He also said that the tariff operation is over and the markets will settle. So just really quickly here, Trump making some comments right now. Tesla on watch there.
Yeah, he better say the markets will settle because right now I have a little unsettling feeling
he already said
myself.
Boom.
But right there, thank you to Bilbo Bagholder, also says salt and vinegar popcorn is the shiz.
It is.
Okay, that's enough for us. Thank you so much, Fabian. Thank you for staying late. Thank you for... Anybody still here? Obi, hello? Thank you, Adair, for... No, I don't think so. No,
He's there.
Oh, is he there? There's now. Oh yeah, Obi's in the building. What's up, Obi? So there we go. Thank you to everybody for staying late with us. Thanks, Barry, for both. Thanks to Dara, Fabian, everybody. Thank you, Obi. Thank you, Neil, for a great show today. Thank you to Joseph. Thank you to Obi for covering one more time. Brendo. What's up to Sharif, of course, our good friend. He'll be back on Monday, so never fear. Sharif will be here. I started a rumor about facial hair. I don't think.
Yeah,
that's
you
gonna
did.
happen.
I don't know.
I'm actually going to message him just so when he comes back, he doesn't get like bombarded and say, "What the hell did I do?" So thank you, everybody. I got to go get ready for this movie. I'm excited for it. We will see everybody tomorrow
Have a great night.
live at 8:30. Have a great evening. Ciao.
See ya.